Your line is that nobody wants Biden or Trump. If nobody wants that rematch, and you truly believe that, then maybe that is her path.
New generation, right? I mean, that's her message in this primary. She's a new generational leader, as she says on the campaign trail. Well, that works as a third-party candidate, and maybe that's something that she'd consider, especially if this gets really nasty in the next few weeks.
We'll see. Fox News Radio political analyst Josh Kraushauer and Washington, D.C. correspondent Jared Halpern. Thanks both so much for joining me.
Thank you, Jess.
Thanks, Jess.
This is News Talk STL on 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible. So Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hi, I'm Henry Winkler. My eyes are very important to me. My eyes connect me with things I love. I loved my late father-in-law dearly. He always lit up a room, but his vision dimmed with age. He had age-related macular degeneration, or AMD. And since partnering with Apellis, I've learned there's an advanced form of the disease called geographic atrophy, or GA. His struggle with vision loss made me want to help others know about GA's warning signs. For some, straight lines seem wavy, like when looking at a door frame. For others, blurry or missing spots can make it hard to read or see loved ones' faces. Many have trouble seeing in low light, making driving at night difficult. GA gets worse over time and cannot be reversed. If you've been diagnosed with AMD and notice vision changes, don't wait. Talk to your eye doctor about GA today. Learn more at GAWon'tWait.com. That's GA Won't Wait.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Former Speaker of the House Tim Jones, who's also our afternoon guy, will analyze the New Hampshire primary. He'll be with us Tuesday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Columbo and Katie.
These things happen. That you can't predict them with specificity, but you can know that they happen. And once they do happen, it is too late to prepare. Even the Israelis, Iron Dome, usually protecting all of their towns and cities from most of the stuff that comes in, even they were caught by surprise. The world reminds us to take these issues seriously.
Tony Columbo, Katie Fitzpatrick, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
It's a new year, so come check out the great financing offers going on now at Seavers JCB. Rates as low as 0.99% on nearly all JCB compact construction equipment, including the industry-leading JCB Teleskid. For details, go to SeaversJCB.com. Mini excavators, track loaders, small wheel loaders, and even the industry-leading JCB compact load all range. Seavers JCB has them all. Visit SeaversJCB.com for more information.
Hey, it's Tony Columbo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Columbo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Columbo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
where callers won't be canceled.
It's just so ridiculous and so offensive.
And we don't socially distance from differing opinions.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I haven't always agreed with you.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
This country is worth fighting for.
That's why we're canceling those season tickets. That's why we're canceling those subscriptions.
I'm just so sick and tired of it.
Disgust us.
It's insanity, man.
This is News Talk STL.
Is #1 cable news network. Plus, setup couldn't be easier because everything's ready to go in the app. Just say,
Alexa, play news from Fox. In Fox News.
It's the latest when you need it, on demand from Fox News and Amazon Alexa. Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. I'm Ted Lindner, and this is the Fox News Rundown. Donald Trump becomes the first non-incumbent Republican candidate in the modern era to win both the Iowa and New Hampshire primaries, securing a solid victory on Tuesday night in the New Hampshire primary over Nikki Haley. Haley, though, vowing to stay in the race. And President Biden set to speak today at the United Auto Workers National Conference, signaling a possible major big labor endorsement. Last night on the Democrat side, President Biden won the primary despite having to be written into the ballot. And he spoke about the election at a reproductive rights event in Manassas, Virginia, earlier in the day on Tuesday. I'm Ted Lindner, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
Is News Talk STL. 1019, 94.1, and NewsTalkSTL.com. Columbo and Katie.
Another news grenade going off, but don't worry, we're here for you. On Wednesday, we'll recap New Hampshire, plus get insight on the Jeff City drama from Rodney Boyd at 2:20. Then we'll open Closest Cabinet at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hi, Sean Long for STL FenceWorks. STL FenceWorks is proud and excited to install American-made aluminum and vinyl fence products, as well as American-made decking. For instance, STL FenceWorks has teamed up with Jareth Manufacturing. Jareth invented the aluminum fence industry over 50 years ago. The Jareth product is wholly sourced and manufactured in the U.S., and STL FenceWorks is the third largest Jareth customer in the world. STL FenceWorks is vinyl fencing also, and not just white. We partner with National Vinyl Products to provide you with tan, clay, gray, and variegated wood grain vinyl fence products too, all made in the U.S. Not to be forgotten, STL FenceWorks is maintenance-free decking. STL FenceWorks is the #1 distributor of Wolf Cellular PVC in the Midwest, proudly manufactured in the U.S. and voted #1 maintenance-free decking product in the United States. Let STL FenceWorks make your outdoor space magical. Visit STLFenceWorks.com today and learn how we can make your backyard dreams into a reality. At STL FenceWorks, your satisfaction is our passion.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy houses direct in as-is condition with no middleman involved. I recently bought a house from somebody that was embarrassed to let me in the door. There was stuff all over the place, and the entire house smelled like smoke. However, we were definitely able to see the potential. We gave them a great cash offer that they were very happy with. So if you have a house that isn't in the best shape, maybe in some disrepair, we're interested in making you an as-is cash offer. Please reach out today, KLAMEN Group.com.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Wednesday, one of the unintended consequences of Donald Trump's dominance in the primary season is that political drama has vanished. Only the Supreme Court could deny Trump a place on the November ballot, and that nullification will not happen. So the television news operations, many of which have actually helped Trump by their nonstop loathing, will lose tens of millions of dollars in political ad revenue and lower audiences. The be careful what you wish for syndrome is vivid here. The media fervently wants Trump to lose, so it went full out corruption to make that happen. But Americans saw the coordinated, often dishonest attacks as insulting to them. Massive turnoff. Even Fox News, once a Trump tower of power, has now become suspect to many viewers. As far as President Biden is concerned, he is vanishing right before our eyes. There will be no vibrant campaign, no debate, few interactions with the press. Presidential election years usually mean big business for the media. Not this time. Super Tuesday? Not really. Conventions? Yawn. Only if Mr. Biden decides to retire will things change. And that could happen. Back after this. If you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the rain moves out early today, but it's a trade-off. As the steady rain leaves, the fog gets thicker. Dense fog advisory in effect. Give yourself some extra braking room today, especially with some wet pavement out there. Meanwhile, temperatures mild. I'm forecasting a high of 53 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, still areas of fog, but otherwise dry, the low 41. Our next round of rain moves in Thursday. Be ready for showers in the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's high at 49. Friday is dry. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice
For conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
news, analysis, and opinion.
Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
We're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. We're going to seal up the border.
Has Donald Trump ever felt pressure from the media conglomerate and from the big donors? No. He's going to do what he thinks is in the best interest of the country.
101.9 and 94.1.
My news station.
News Talk STL. For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
The New Hampshire primaries are now in the books. All right, what'd you make of the results? We got time to talk about it here this morning. 314-912-1019. As a matter of fact, Joe Cunningham, one of our friends from RedState.com, going to be with us right around 6:35. So, yeah, we can look at the final results, which you probably already heard of what those are. But what do they mean? Where do we go from here? Is there anything that's really going to fire people up about the rest of the primary and caucus season? Or is this really just about gearing up for November? A lot of different angles to cover on this. Hey, I'm Mike Ferguson. Good morning. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Wednesday. Really interesting conversation we had with Mark Miller from Pacific Legal Foundation on Tuesday's program. And I'm not going to lie, guys. I didn't expect this conversation to become this interesting because it's about wonky stuff and policy and regulations, but really when you frame it in the sort of outlook of there are all sorts of ways to make money in the gig economy right now, a lot of ways you can work full-time or part-time and you control it, and the Biden administration seems to want to chip into that or control it or just shut it down. Why would they do that? Well, Mark is one of the attorneys involved with suing the Biden administration right now over just that, and he explained. This is really pretty interesting stuff because it's a much bigger picture than your DoorDash or your Uber. Here's what he had to say. Most people in our society right now cannot be unemployed involuntarily. They can choose to not pursue work, but because of the gig economy, because of, whether it's delivering groceries or delivering booze or, doing rideshare or doing, handy jobs off of apps or whatever the case is, I will maintain that most people cannot be forced out of working right now. They have the choice to make money because of the gig economy. So what is it that the politicians and the Biden administration, what is it that they want to do that could curtail this?
Yeah, Mike, thanks for having me on. You just took the words out of my mouth. In the gig economy that we have today, people can find jobs and they can work for themselves. If they can choose to be employed or they can choose to be independent contractors. Unfortunately, the Biden administration, the Department of Labor under President Biden, has tried to create a rule to make it very difficult to work for yourself. They're basically challenging employers and saying, look, if you hire someone as an independent contractor, we may say that they're actually an employee of yours. And if they are, and you're not paying them overtime and all the things that go into being an employer-employee, providing insurance, et cetera, then we may penalize you, we may fine you. And so that discourages employers from reaching out and having independent contractors rather than employees. And so Pacific Legal Foundation, where I work, is fighting against that rule because we just think that's patently unfair.
Morning, Mark. Dave Pfeiffer here. So this has been tried before, right? The government's interference in the gig economy.
It was tried, under the President Obama administration, and then President Trump, to his credit, I've been listening to you guys this morning, and he's got his pros and cons. But to his credit, his labor policies were very strong, and he tried to create a rule to make it very easy to understand. What we have a problem with the law is sometimes it's very hard to understand. And what President Trump tried to do when it came to labor and the ability to earn a living was make it easy and say, look, there's only going to be two factors to look at for whether you're an independent contractor or an employee. That encourages employers to hire independent contractors. That encourages people to go make a living and work for themselves, which isn't that a great way to be in the United States, that we work for ourselves? I mean, it's kind of what our country was fought about. We didn't want to answer to the king. But unfortunately, the Biden administration, when it came in, immediately threw out that Trump rule and put in motion a new rule, which is the rule that PLF is suing about.
And Mark, is this similar to what happened in California with Assembly Bill 5 or AB 5 that people know a lot about? Because there were entire companies that dealt with independent contractors who at some point just said, we have to shut down in the state. We're leaving. So is what the Biden administration wants to do similar to something like that?
Yeah, it's really similar. And it's unfortunate because we think 50 or 60 years ago, the whole country would have loved to see California policies. California was the land of milk and honey. We all loved California under Governor Reagan before he became president. But now the Democrats are trying to export terrible California policies, whether it's on the environment or here in labor, to the entire country. And we all can look at California and say to ourselves, we don't want that in the rest of the country. We want freedom. We don't want the government telling us top down how to live our lives. And this is a great example of that. We've got 2,500 people in an association who wanted us to sue the federal government over this rule. And we sued them in Georgia, and we have about 3 or 4 of them as named plaintiffs. But literally thousands of people who are saying to the Biden administration, we don't want this. Leave us alone. Let us earn a living. And that's what the case is about.
We're visiting with Mark Miller from the Pacific Legal Foundation. Okay, let me try to, echo some of the arguments from the other side, try to do a little devil's advocate. They're saying, but wait a minute, Mark, these companies are exploiting the workers. If I get hired to go work for I don't know, a limousine service or something like that, and I'm driving around, I'm getting pay. If I'm full time, I'm getting benefits. I'm contributing into the unemployment insurance pool. With this right there, if they declare me an independent contractor, then they don't have to pay any of that, and I don't have all of those benefits. So it's really just about trying to make it equal for everybody. At least that's their argument. What's wrong with that take?
I think that is their argument, and I think it's weak because it responds to a country that no longer exists. Maybe that was at the time of the Gilded Age, where employees or Americans, were at the mercy of their employer. But Mike, as you said right before you asked me to join the show, if you want a job, you can go get a job. We have record low unemployment. Employers are desperate to find employees. But in fact, many Americans would prefer to work for themselves. They don't need the help. They can go get a job if they want. They can become an employer-employee relationship, but they would rather work for themselves. And so that Democrat approach that the arguers are making in favor of the rule, they're just responding to a country that does not exist anymore. If we get to a 10, 20% unemployment, it's hard to imagine, but if we were, then maybe the circumstances would change, and maybe their argument would be more defensible. But right now, people can go work for themselves, or they can go work for an employer if they want those benefits, but they shouldn't be forced to work for an employer if they don't want to. And that's what the Biden administration is trying to do through top-down control.
It seems to me there's also a larger implication here about the rule of the bureaucracy class to just be able to create these essentially the things with the force of law just by rule, and it can completely upset entire markets, entire large numbers of people. And this rule in and of itself is so vague that they are the only arbiters for who qualifies one way or the other, right?
That's exactly right. David Brooks in the New York Times talked about how administrators, federal administrators or state administrators, they all inherently mean well. Well, I don't know about that, but the bottom line is when they write rules for themselves, they give them, as you said, that vague power. Then we're at their mercy for when they decide we have violated the law. And in fact, that's not the way it's supposed to work. I know you guys last week talked about the important fisherman case, Loper Bright, about the agencies having too much power to write rules. This is another example of it. If Congress wants to do that, this is one thing. That's one thing. We could vote them out of office if we don't like them trying to control us. But it's another thing when unelected bureaucrats try to control our lives.
And I want to look at one of the bigger pictures here, Mark, and that is when I talk about the gig economy, every once in a while there is a wave of change that opens up all kinds of new opportunities. And that's really kind of what I feel with the gig economy. I mean, we think of, DoorDash or Grubhub or Uber or Lyft, but there are all sorts of things that are available. And to me, it's the individual services aren't really the picture, aren't really the point. The bigger picture is the fact that people can own their own hours and make as much money as they choose to make, a little or a lot. And so talk about for a second the role that this gig economy is having or could have in our economy and in our society, because if you're talking about putting all the workers back into a box, we're talking about abandoning all of the potential upside of the gig economy. And it's not for everybody. There are some drawbacks to it, but we're talking about basically saying we don't want to take a chance on that.
Yeah, I mean, what you're talking about there at the end of the day is liberty. And can Americans have the right to live their lives the way they want, in which the gig economy opens the door to? And when I used to fly into D.C. earlier in my career, I'm a bit of an old lawyer, I would have to use the taxi service. And I was charged with whatever the taxi companies had negotiated with Washington, D.C. to charge me. Or if I flew into St. Louis, whatever the taxi companies had negotiated with the city of St. Louis. Now I can hire an Uber, as you said, or a Lyft. There's competition. Competition breeds lower prices for me as a consumer, and it helps the employee or the independent contractor because they can go choose to make a living the way they want. They can go with Uber, they can go with Lyft, maybe they will get hired by the taxi company. They certainly need drivers too. But competition breeds better success for consumers, breeds lower prices, and it's better for our country. The Biden administration, for whatever reason, the reasons you gave, they kind of live in yesterday, whether it's the recession of the 70s or the depression of the 30s. They're dealing with an economy that no longer exists. And as you said, they're trying to force us back into those old boxes it doesn't do the average individual American any good. And, we feel very good about this lawsuit. This rule is so vague and arbitrary, as you said. It gives them all the power, puts employers at the mercy of the federal government. If the federal government wants to come after the employer and say you're using people as independent contractors when they're in fact employees, we can fine you to tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why would the employers ever do that? So it discourages the employers from using independent contractors, which makes it harder for the average American to earn a living. Doesn't make sense.
Hey, Mark, are there still circumstances in labor law where it is appropriate to say, no, this is an actual employee and you need to abide by all of those rules? So we're not talking about unleashing everybody to the Wild West. We're talking about gig economy services, right? I mean, there is a distinction.
Well, and that's the comparison between the Trump Department of Labor and this current rule it makes that point exactly. It isn't that the Trump administration said there will no longer be employers' employees. We will no longer govern. We will no longer do what the Department of Labor has traditionally done. We will still make sure you're treating people fairly, but we're going to make it clear to you what the rules are. So if you want to have an independent contractor, you can. If you want to have an employer-employee, you can. And we'll make it clear what's the difference so that you can govern your own affairs. The independent contractor can and the employer can. The Biden administration that comes along puts this 7-factor test in place, and even the 7 factors ultimately add up to heads we win, tails you lose. We'll decide when we get you in court. When we've decided you did something we don't like, we'll bring charges against you. That's, again, not how our country is supposed to work. The government's supposed to get out of the way to let us flourish, not press us down with rules that we can't even understand. As you said earlier, so bureaucrats write rules to help them, not help us. So, yes, it would not be the Wild West, although I could make an argument there that we might prefer the Wild West. It would not be. We would still have a federal Department of Labor. Trump administration did not say it was going to get rid of it. They just said we're going to make the rules clear and easy to understand so everyone can move forward. That's the way rules are supposed to work. That's the way laws are supposed to work.
Okay, real quick, what's the status of the lawsuit right now? Where are you in the process?
So we just filed the complaint last week in Georgia. The federal government has not responded at all. We were the first out of the box. This rule just became enforceable. So we were the first to sue. We expect other lawsuits to follow. Bottom line is Americans do not want this rule. Maybe we'll see in November 2024 how badly they don't want this rule, depending on who gets elected president. But either way, whether President Biden wins a second term or whoever the Democrats nominate gets a new term, or the Republicans win in November, we'll be fighting this rule until the rule is either thrown out by the courts or thrown out by a new administration.
All right, where do we find Pacific Legal on all the interwebs?
Yeah, pacificlegal.org. We're a nonprofit. We represent the average American at no charge. So if you've got a case where you're in a fight with local, state, or federal government, give us a call, and we'd be happy to see if we can help you. Or you can make a donation. As I said, we're a nonprofit. People donate money to us so we can help the average American fight the government.
News Roundup gets things kicked off here in about 2 minutes and 12 seconds on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Let's do an information segment right now.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
All right, Donald Trump gets a second win in the presidential race, but the nomination campaign is going to continue. At least a couple more steps.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
Yep.
a couple more.
At least a couple more. Maybe longer. We'll see. Also, Missouri's GOP leadership in the state Senate declares war on the Freedom Caucus.
This came out of left field.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting this.
I mean, this is kind of like a pseudo-nuclear option politically. This is what happens when you get, I guess, if you're the establishment, you get your panties in a wad over what some freedom fighters are doing. And then also a bunch of anti-Semitic bigots tried to take over the St. Louis County Council meeting last night. Cops had to remove them. One was arrested. And I've got the audio of what they were doing in that council meeting, and it is beyond disgusting. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. 5:52 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Del Ponticus. All right. The establishment basically declares political war on the Freedom Caucus in Missouri. And Senator Caleb Rowden, the leader of the state Senate, seems to be going for that shock and awe tactic.
As the leader of the Missouri Senate and with the full support of the true Republican majority, we will no longer allow this to stand.
See, they're the true Republicans, though. The Freedom Caucus are not the true Republicans.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And if you needed reasons for, true conservative and small government and free market types to not align necessarily with the actual GOP party, there's one of the reasons right there. So here's what happened, Stel. Rowden booted Senators Rick Bratton, Denny Hoskins, Andrew Koenig, and Bill Eigel from their chair and their vice chair positions on all the committees, which is actually where the legislation is crafted. Rowden also moved their parking places to the outer rings of the Capitol.
Oh, now that's a little backhanded slap on top of it.
It really is. I mean, I've got some more of what Caleb had to say as well, and we're going to hear from Bill Eigel as well. And at 7:05, Bob Onder, of course, affiliated with the Freedom Caucus, running for lieutenant governor as of right now, and he's going to be with us to respond to that as well. Okay, so we are going to get into this in more depth here in just a bit, but for now, here are some samples of what happened when pro-Hamas protesters tried to take over St. Louis County's county council meeting last night.
Sam Page funds genocide in this council co-signs.
Madam Chair, excuse me, everybody. So if we want to make sure everybody can speak and we don't clear out this room, I need you all to recognize the decorum of this chamber.
From the river to the sea. To the sea. Palestine will be free. Be free. Cease fire now.
Now, this isn't just the dumbasses marching up and down the Del Mar Loop again. This was taking over the county council meeting. This happened in the county council chambers last night. I mean...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you had another.
No, I'm just going to let that sink in for a second.
Okay.
No, I'm just letting that sink in for a second.
It's sinking in.
Yeah. So we'll do that in more depth because I've got more of what happened there as well. So that anti-Semitic protest happened at the meeting where the council was considering a resolution to recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day. So when they are considering International Holocaust Remembrance Day, these idiots, these slime balls, decide that they want to make it from the river to the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I am absolutely probably the most open to other perspectives of any conservative media in the region. I have liberals call in and debate and talk to me all the time. Of course, these people don't have jobs. I'm sure that they're, sound asleep last night. But I don't think you should respect these people as human beings. These are a baby step above animals, is all that they are, in my opinion. All right, Donald Trump won the New Hampshire GOP primary. Nikki Haley vowing to fight on.
Even though Haley didn't deliver an upset victory in New Hampshire, she's not ending her run for the White House. She told supporters last night that this race is far from over and that she's the last one standing next to Donald Trump. The former president is unhappy about Haley's refusal to quit. He wrote on social media that she is delusional.
Yeah, that's a pretty Trumpy thing to say here. Trump won with 54% of the vote compared to 43% for Nikki Haley. Now that adds 11 delegate votes to Trump's total while Haley picks up 8. Now remember, it takes 270 delegates to secure the GOP nomination. As of right now, it's Trump 31, Haley 15.
Okay. I'm ready for, is it Nevada coming up next before South Carolina?
Yes, Nevada. And Donald Trump declared in his speech last night that he's already won 100% of it. He actually said that. We're looking around going, huh?
Well, Nevada has that weird setup with a caucus and primary on different days.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Yeah,
that's odd.
But he's like, we've already won that. Like, no, you didn't. You might.
Well, delegate-wise,
you may very well win it, but you haven't won it yet, Donald. Oh, jeez. All right, let's see here. The Blues started the road trip off the right way. Thumbs up on this one. 4-3 win over Calgary. They hit the ice again tonight. Man, I tell you, after a full game last night, they got to play again tonight. I hope they got their Ben Gay or something. They're going to be sore. They play Vancouver tonight because that's so far out west. That's the late game for the NHL tonight. Puck drops at 9 o'clock our time. That is on ESPN+.
That was a nice comeback win, by the way, with 2 goals in the third period.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
they pulled that one out.
We're seeing these sparks of life out of the Blues. We're like, okay, we can see where all the potential is in this team.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
This is Ben. Ben, can I ask you a personal question? Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
So after October 7th, would you ever vote for a Democrat ever again?
Never again. Never again. It gets more disappointing every day.
Do you live in Cory Bush's district?
I do. Yeah.
So your Jewish friends and say, hey, Wesley Bell's the lesser of two evils, certainly better than Cory Bush.
We're absolutely aware. We got to make this a safe, great place for everybody.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
So we finally got the parts for the time machine.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks. Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa. 90s New Country streaming now. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. He's batting 1,000 so far. Donald Trump, who won Iowa, has scored a victory in New Hampshire's first in the nation primary.
The former president thankful to clinch a second straight victory in his quest for the 2024 GOP nomination.
Thank you very much. We love you. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the trail.
Rival Nikki Haley says that political pundits have it wrong if they think she has plans to drop out.
Well, I'm a fighter. And I'm scrappy.
Haley says she's come a long way since there were at one point 14 GOP candidates, and now it's down to her and Donald Trump. Bob Agnew reporting.
And the next stop for the Republicans is Nevada. After that, it's on to South Carolina. GOP political analyst Gary Bauer warning Republicans against complacency in the face of multiple polls favoring Trump.
Polling is a snapshot. It can't be said often enough. And so even though right now in many of the polls, Donald Trump is opening up a lead, the amount of time between now and November is about 5 lifetimes in politics.
President Biden won the New Hampshire Democrat primary as a write-in candidate. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq have been targeted by U.S. airstrikes. 3 facilities were hit, follows repeated attacks on American forces in the region. In the words of Defense Secretary Austin, we are fully prepared to take further measures to protect our people and our facilities. Israeli forces battling Palestinian fighters near the main hospital in Gaza's second-largest city, Khan Yunis. Hundreds of patients and thousands of displaced people are trapped by the fighting. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures up 67 points, NASDAQ futures 119 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Terrorist attacks against Israel, escalating threats of a third world war, natural disasters, and civil unrest are causing people to wonder, are we living in the end times?
In his new book, Are We Living in the End Times?, trusted pastor and best-selling author Dr. Robert Jeffress provides solid biblical answers to 7 key questions, including, what role does Israel play in the end times? What 5 headlines will signal we are in the end times? And how can you prepare for the end times? Are We Living in the End Times by Dr. Robert Jeffress is available right now at ptv.org and wherever fine books are sold.
Jesus said, no one knows the hour or day of his return, which is why we should be ready at all times. Jesus is coming back to earth one day. Are you ready? Get your copy of my new book, Are We Living in the End Times? By going to ptv.org or wherever.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the rain moves out early today, but it's a trade-off. As the steady rain leaves, the fog gets thicker. Dense fog advisory in effect. Give yourself some extra braking room today, especially with some wet pavement out there. Meanwhile, temperatures mild. I'm forecasting a high of 53 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, still areas of fog, but otherwise dry, the low 41. Our next round of rain moves in Thursday. Be ready for showers in the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's high at 49. Friday is dry. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hi, News Talk listeners. This is Pastor Pat Rankin, joined today by my wife, Vicki Rankin.
Hello, News Talk listeners.
As followers of Jesus Christ and as a pastor, one of the closest things to my heart is empowering parents and saving lives of the unborn.
That's right, Pat. One of the greatest joys I've had is seeing our church donate to the cause for life and support Thrive. It really is the greatest humanitarian effort of our time.
Amen, hon. I am grateful to be in this fight with the church as a whole in St. Louis. Thank you to all who are out there who sacrificially give of themselves to those who need it the most.
It's so awesome, Pat, and I'm really excited to have Thrive at Have Bible will travel again this year to host a Day of Compassion for the National Sanctity of Human Life Sunday.
So am I. It is always an honor to have them come. Your church can join with Thrive this year as well. They can bring out live patient testimonies, Thrive speakers, an event table, multimedia, whatever you need.
Just go to thrivealivestl.org and they will get your church set up.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Reaction to the New Hampshire primary from one of my guests many of you love to hate, John LeBoutier.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
You know what's weird about today?
What's that?
There was a presidential primary last night, and that's like the third biggest thing that we got to go over today.
It is kind of weird because of that. Yeah. I think we kind of had that feeling going in, didn't we?
Yeah, but Joe Cunningham from RedState.com, one of their top writers, he's going to be with us 6:35 because the results of the New Hampshire primary I don't think really surprised anybody.
No.
But we'll just assess where we are right now and where we are moving forward on this here. All right, it is 6:05 right now. All right, pro-Hamas protesters try to take over the St. Louis County government's meeting last night, and actually they kind of did for a few minutes. Apparently they don't like the idea of remembering the freaking Holocaust.
Well, that tracks.
Yeah, it really does. All right, from wonky stuff still ahead here. Now, you had to have heard about this. I've never seen anything like this. From the wonky stuff like committee assignments at the state legislature. While that's wonky, that's really how things get done. You want to fight for good small government legislation. It happens in those parts of the process. To the petty stuff like parking places.
Really?
Yeah, the GOP establishment goes after the Freedom Caucus. So we're going to go over this in more depth at 6:20.
Wow.
Listen, I've been between the time that I was a journalist to the time that I've been doing communications consulting to the time I've been involved in campaigns and now in the talk media aspect of this. I have never in 28 years seen anything like what happened yesterday.
It does look quite unprecedented.
Right.
Just, even as a normie observer that I am.
Yeah, so we're going to hear from the parties involved and go through all that. Okay, so let's talk about all the bigots at the St. Louis County Council meeting. Let me set the stage here for what happened is among the other business that was happening last night, the regularly scheduled stuff, is there was a resolution to acknowledge International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Pretty common stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be controversial or,
Right.
I mean, it should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, so with that, also keep in mind that one of the country's Holocaust museums is in St. Louis County.
Yes, we've talked to
Amy.
Amy,
Yeah.
she's a director there, right?
She's a communications
director there. Yeah,
Amy was actually just over at the house the other day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So we've talked about that whole thing and how important it is to maintain our education, our understanding about what happened there because of how horrific it was, and of course during a remembrance, what should be a routine remembrance situation here, we had these idiots show up to do what they do.
So here's part of what's happened. This is a young woman named Paige Mathis, Mathys. And here's what's really weird. I looked at her Facebook page, and actually some of the audio I found was on her Facebook page. And she looks, bizarre. But you look at like her previous profile pictures, just look like a kid who went to college, young girl who went to college and high school, and now
it's one of those.
She put underneath one of her files, "I'm a man of my word. I gave a promise," so I don't know what kind of freak this is. But here's part of what she did to begin the disruptions last night.
Sam Page funds genocide, and this council co-signs. Sam Page funds genocide, and this council co-signs.
Madam Chair, excuse me, everybody. So if we want to make sure everybody can speak and we don't clear out this room, I need you all to recognize the decorum of this chamber. I'm asking you to wrap up your statement, ma'am. Are you
Cease fire now.
Thank you.
Cease fire now.
And she's calling the police in, where they're now taking their positions. Okay, and eventually the police had to come in and remove people, and this Paige Mathis moron was literally kept stepping at the cops with her arms out. She was begging to be arrested.
Yeah,
and she was.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. Sometimes they get what they deserve. I'm still confused by that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now, granted, I guess we're never going to see eye to eye on the Palestine question. I get that, but why attack city council meetings and county council meetings, and what do you think you're actually going to accomplish? What do you mean by the city council or the county council funds genocide? What is that even supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, when your brain, this is just my best guess.
Okay, yeah.
Is that when your brain is so rotted with pure evil, you think everybody who is not pure evil is your enemy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. Okay, now I get it.
And here's where then she turns around, because they had a lot of people there.
Oh, sure.
She turns around and this happened.
From the river to the sea. To the sea. Palestine will be free. Be free. Palestine will be free. Be free. From the river to the sea. To the sea. Palestine will be free. Be free. Palestine
This happened at your county council meeting in the chambers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire.
Just pure evil.
Now, one good thing kind of came of this. The council didn't have time to screw us over anymore. I suppose we can look over that way. But no, my patience is worn very, very thin of these people.
Yeah, and I found myself not even struggling with this, and this is that gets me in trouble with some people sometime. Have you noticed there's a theme? I get myself in trouble a lot, and I just kind of gotten to the point in life I don't care. But to me, the police were very professional. They ushered them out.
Yeah.
This moron ringleader, was arrested like she wanted to be, probably thinking that she's some kind of martyr. She's not, because believe me, you put this chick over in Gaza for 5 minutes, guess what happens to her?
Yeah, same thing that happens to the Jews.
Yeah. And it's a good thing that we have the St. Louis County police officers who are trained and restrained and have a better personality than I've got.
Oh, gosh.
Because justice would have been removing them by grabbing them by the throat and throwing them out and accidentally hitting every solid object on the way out.
Yeah.
That's justice. It's not legal, but it's justice.
Exactly. There's a moral imperative there that goes beyond, I think, the writing of the law, which is to protect the innocent.
Fire hoses would have been justified.
I will say that should be legal. It's like where I'm calling for the fire hoses. Somebody bring out the fire hoses and the dogs on these people.
And I just want to point out, you said that.
I said that.
Not me.
I said that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, you guys misused it at one point, but maybe it's a tool that could serve a purpose. I'm just saying.
All right, send letters to our boss at Jeff at News Talk STL.
Gabe at News Talk STL.
There you go. Right. He says
talk directly to me.
That's right.
Bring it.
Okay, so, here's the bigger question, guys, though, is clearly they have no shame, they have no morals, they have no ethics, they have no they have no understanding of reality, or they just don't care. I mean, they've just simply decided the side of evil. These are pro-Hamas demonstrations. These are pro-terrorism demonstrations. They can say Palestine all they want. These are pro-terrorism, Islamic terrorism demonstrations. That's what these leftists are. And so it also shows, I think, that they are looking for ways to ramp up, in this case, rhetoric, in this case, disrupting a government meeting. We've seen them block traffic. We've seen some instances of minor violence in St. Louis. So then we have to ask the question, what's probably next from these wannabe thugs?
Well, that's going to be actual riots and terrorism. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting people to really, really start getting hurt on the wrong side of this issue here. So, and I'm hoping the police respond accordingly.
Right. And I mean, hopefully anything that would be an effort, because listen, if you are Jewish and you attend a synagogue or you attend a Jewish community organization, you've got to be watching your back right now. And that's not right. That's not fair. The rest of us need to have your backs. And what we have right now, and it was very typical. I mean, you've got suburban white chick who's deciding she's going to be the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas demonstrator and try to pretend she has some kind of moral superiority. Chick, you don't even have any morals or ethics. You don't have superiority in anything, you dolt.
You mentioned the fact that she had pretty regular pictures in her social media in the past.
Yeah.
And I think that's indicative of the problems that we've been having with our school system and the indoctrination that goes on there. Because I've seen so many instances of this. A regular family from the Midwest sends their kid off to college as a normal person, and they come back one of these, like some purple-haired, fluid-gendered leftist activist who runs around, supporting terrorist organizations. So it's tough to look at, the type of the situation we're in right now in regards to academia in particular, but education in general, and the fact that we're still feeding our children to this machine right now.
Yeah, and they come back like this.
Yeah,
and I don't know where she went to school. There were some pictures of like sororities and stuff.
It kind of doesn't matter. It's very difficult for me to identify a place that is safe to send your child for education at this point. I mean, it's few and far between.
And speaking of the Jewish community, we'll have A.J. Moll coming up in the 8 a.m. hour.
Yep, 8:05. He's going to be with us to give us his assessment of that as well. All right, 314-912-1019. All right, let's talk about the establishment versus the Freedom Caucus. Holy crap.
Yeah, this blew up, didn't it?
Yeah. Again, I've been doing this a long time. I've never seen anything like this. Boy, I tell you, the Freedom Caucus must be over the target, because they got blasted by the establishment yesterday. I'll go over what happened. Love to get your thoughts on that. Right around 6:20 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your curtain call. Get up.
When you go shopping, you may not get the bargain you want, but at least you know and can compare prices. It should be that way with healthcare, but too often it's not. Need an operation on your knee? Want to know what it's going to cost? Good luck. For 3 years, hospitals have been required to provide patients with list prices and have negotiated charges for some 300 services. Only 36%, just over a third, are fully compliant. In Missouri, prices differ greatly depending on a patient's insurance. The cost of a pelvic CT scan, for example, can be 20 times more expensive in one hospital than another. Price transparency allows patients to compare providers, forces hospitals to compete on price, and helps insurers negotiate lower rates. State law should require all healthcare providers to publish prices in a user-friendly form. What we don't know is costing us. The price of healthcare shouldn't be a secret. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Sam Sorbo. Children want to learn. And so what could be easier than teaching a child who wants to learn? Why it becomes difficult is because they make it such drudgery that the children give up on learning. They go, well, this is not fun. This is awful. When you set the child free, then they learn everything. They learn faster than you can possibly imagine.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michael's Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michael's, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
I'm Susie Moore, and this is More to the Point. It's a teeny tiny town in northern New Hampshire. The 2020 census numbered its residents at 4, though there are 6 registered voters for the precinct. Few would know anything of Dixville Notch were it not for the fact that it holds the distinction of being the first place in the nation to vote, exclusive of the Iowa caucus and the primaries. At every presidential election cycle, we hear news reports on how the town votes because they do so at midnight on Election Day and promptly report the outcome. On Tuesday morning, I reported on the fact that former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley had swept the Notch. Of course, no meaningful predictions can be gleaned about the Republican primary from the votes of 6 citizens who voted for the Democrat in the past several presidential elections, despite being registered as Republicans or independents. Not surprisingly, a number of readers questioned the need for continuing the tradition and reporting on it. I get it, it's quaint, probably antiquated, and it doesn't really mean anything. Except it does in the sense that it ties us to some storied political traditions and reminds us that it's okay to mix in a little bit of fun and whimsy with your politics. There's enough seriousness in the world as it is. I'm good with adding some lighthearted fluff to the mix here and there.
Susie Moore is Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com. For more to the point and everything Susie Moore, log on to RedState.com. Follow Susie on Twitter at SmoozyQ and keep listening to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
I can't get these memories out of my mind.
As the leader of the sole support of the true Republican majority, we will no longer allow this to stand.
All right, here we go. Just a few weeks into the legislative session, and we knew there was going to be a lot of conflict. We were lamenting, guys, early on. Yeah, I bet you there's not a lot that's going to be done. The establishment does not want to be pushed by the Freedom Caucus at all. All right, we knew it was going to be establishment versus Freedom Caucus, and the establishment declares war. So who's to blame when things go to crap now?
Yeah, I'm just now becoming aware of all of what's taking place. I don't even know what precipitated it necessarily. I mean, I
can tell you.
I did see a lot of consternation being expressed on Twitter about how the Freedom Caucus might be taking the wrong track, might be being more obstructionist than leading and things like that. But I don't know. I don't know what was actually happening. All I saw was the commentary around it.
Yeah. You know what? When you came in and we gave you a quick heads up, your first comment was, "Ooh, I didn't have that on my bingo card."
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Because, I mean, a little bit of this is a little bit wonky. You have to be a little bit of a political junkie. But when you look at the bigger picture, you see this is establishment going to war with the Freedom Caucus.
Yeah.
That's really what this is.
And I did glean that at least just because of the characters involved. Right. For the most part, it's like, okay, I know who Caleb Rowden is. So
sure.
Him taking these actions, I doubt, just based on my bias, I doubt that it was precipitated by anything legitimate.
Yeah, I mean, what happened is the Freedom Caucus has already done one filibuster. They're saying these are the crucial things in initiative petition reform and some other things. We see that you are dragging your feet. We see it now. We want this guaranteed to move through. They wouldn't get it, so they filibustered. They played hardball. And then Caleb Rowden decided to go kind of pseudo-nuclear on them politically. By the way, still ahead, there was a primary election yesterday. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, that happened.
Okay, so establishment strikes here. Here's another part of Caleb Rowden's kind of press conference yesterday.
The Chaos Caucus has chosen to use the Missouri Senate as a place to try and salvage their languishing statewide campaigns and intentionally destroy the institution in an effort to claim that the game is rigged against them.
Yeah, so here's what happened is, let me grab my list to make sure I get all of them, is that he took some of the leaders of the Freedom Caucus, Bill Eigel, Rick Bratton, and Denny Hoskins, and Andrew Koenig. And Andrew Koenig, You know, it's interesting because Andrew Koenig is just as much of a freedom guy as everybody else, but he tends to not be as aggressive with his language.
Right.
You know, he stands firm, but he doesn't do the name calling and all that kind of stuff as much as others. So I'm a little bit surprised that he was caught up in this as well. And so what happened here is that Caleb Rowden, who actually has the ability to do this under the Senate rules, which remember when he was reelected Senate leader, we were so frustrated at that time. So here's what happened is that Hoskins, Bratton, Eigel, Koenig, so 4 of the leaders of the Freedom Caucus, removed from their committee chairmanships or their vice chairmanships. Okay, so for those of you who are not political junkies, let me tell you why that's important.
Right.
Because the legislation, whether it is, lower taxes, whether it is protecting children from gender butchery, whether it is initiative petition reform, whether it is pro-life, whether it is pro-Second Amendment, whether it is taxes, spending, it doesn't matter. The committees is where those things are written and debated and hammered out for the most part.
Right.
Probably 90% of the bills are done in these committees. When you are a committee chairman or a vice chair, you have a lot of influence, and Caleb Rowden, with one fell swoop, just said, I am eliminating your influence. I am eliminating your political ability to affect legislation. So what he's saying is, he kept saying the true Republican majority, the true Republican. And so what he's saying essentially is, we do not want the Freedom Caucus to have any influence. You're done. Get off board that train and get on board with the establishment.
Yeah, I noticed how all that kind of panned out. Now, what is his reasoning? Like, I caught the whole reference to the quote unquote chaos caucus, and this suggestion that they are basically just a bunch of troublemakers. But what actually happened that they're using as a pretense for doing all this?
He's blaming them for legislation not getting done after him being the bottleneck for the last 2 sessions.
Wow.
On these things. So
Okay.
he's blaming them. Basically, they have called him out. The Freedom Caucus has called out the establishment. And before that, it was the Conservative Caucus a few years ago.
Right.
Now it's the Freedom Caucus. They have called out the establishment year after year after year. And I think the establishment just said, we're done. We are not going to allow you to influence this. And we're going to see whether they are going to have the ability. Bill Eigel responding to what Caleb Rowden did.
We are not afraid of the status quo and the swamp that is trying to prevent good legislation from moving forward.
And by the way, this got so petty that the Freedom Caucus members, especially Bill Eigel, they received notice that their parking place has been changed. They went from the good primo spots there at the Capitol to the outer ring. So Caleb Rowden even pushed their parking as far out as you possibly can. That's petty.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means it's really, really personal as well. But here's I was texting with Tim Jones last night because I didn't. There's the part of this that I did not realize is that when you are removed as a chairman, your staff gets a pay cut.
Oh, really?
Because when you become a chair of a committee, that's extra duty, and so your chief of staff gets an additional, part of their salary, and so all of these senators, they're not. It's not just them. They're having their political influence challenged. Their staff got a pay cut.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. So this is, you're right. I think declaration of war is probably the most apt analogy being used here in political terms, right?
Yeah.
Because that sounds not only petty, but I mean, you start messing with people's money. That's really serious.
Well, and people's money who aren't elected.
Right. Exactly. They're just doing their job.
Right. So here's the thing that I want to follow up and connect this to things we've talked about in the past. Listen, we talk a lot about, the establishment against actual conservatives.
Yes.
And you can talk Trump and DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Ronna McDaniel and everybody else on all these things.
At the national level.
Yeah, this is the same thing on the Missouri level. And listen, we've got the ability to get some great stuff done again, but it looks like, again, there's going to be nothing done. And the funny part is that Caleb Rowden, he had all these state senators behind him to show their solidarity with Caleb Rowden.
Right.
And by the way, Holly Rader was among them too. I was really disappointed to see that, but not surprised. And so what they're doing now is saying, listen, now we can move forward with all of this conservative priority stuff.
I
Good.
saw that in the statement.
Do it.
Yeah. hey.
Shut all of us up, Caleb. Do it.
Yes, absolutely. Now, of course, it's not going to happen. He's going to slow walk his way through things like he usually does. Claim credit for having brought it up, but he's like, oh well, we just couldn't get it done this session. We'll have to kick the can down the road and see if we can do it the next session. And we're going to get the same thing over and over and over again.
Except whose fault is it now?
It's absolutely. I mean, there's no question now.
Right.
I think he needs to wear this. Going this far, I think every conservative legislative failure that we're going to experience, there is no you can't even make an argument that it's not going to be his fault.
And the thing is I'm open to the argument that the Freedom Caucus came out too hot. I'm not sure they did, but I'm open to the discussion.
Sure.
To say you don't show up day one and put everybody on notice and blast people and, say Rhino and establishment and swamp. And okay, I mean, I'm open to the argument. I think they were setting a tone to saying we're serious.
Right.
But what's happened right now is that they have said we are going to take the sledgehammer to the ant approach, except they're not dealing with ants.
No.
These are people who know their way around. I can't believe Nick Schroer wasn't hammered with something too.
I was surprised.
I just
by that,
texted Nick. I'm like, dude, how did you avoid this happening? Because he's every bit as bold and in their face as Bill Eigel is, and as Rick Bratton and Andrew Koenig is.
Absolutely.
So you have some personality issues here, and Caleb Rowden has unilaterally decided that he's going after the people he has the personal dislikes of, and he's saying they're the reason nothing's getting done, when the fact of the matter is that he's been called out for years as being the guy dragging his feet and trying to take credit for trying while you're the one dragging your feet.
Yeah.
He's been called out. I think he's sending the message, don't call me out. You better not challenge me. You better get in line. You better submit. And I know these guys in the Freedom Caucus, they're not the submitting type.
No, I don't think this is going to have the effect that he thinks it will.
Yeah. So now it may be a complete cluster F from here on out.
Oh, sure, for the session.
Yeah, in kind of a politically post-apocalyptic way. I mean, it could be a political wasteland from here. But at this point, Caleb Rowden doesn't get to say it's all their fault.
Oh, it's turning out to be a little more exciting of a session than I was expecting.
Oh, yeah. It'll be the most exciting session where nothing gets done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it's going to be entertaining.
So it's kind of a hometown version of what's been going on in D.C.
Pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty much. Just the checks and the money are small. Scaled down just a little
the
bit.
parking spaces are in a different spot.
That was ridiculous. When I saw that, I'm like,
gosh.
Are you kidding me?
Man.
Wow. I mean, not that I care where Bill Eigel parks, but that just shows just how petty and personal it's getting.
Yeah.
All right. New Hampshire primary yesterday. Donald Trump gets a win again. It's down to him and Nikki Haley. She says she's going to press on. Let's talk to Joe Cunningham from Red State about that just ahead, right around 6:35 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the rain moves out early today, but it's a trade-off. As the steady rain leaves, the fog gets thicker. Dense fog advisory in effect. Give yourself some extra braking room today, especially with some wet pavement out there. Meanwhile, temperatures mild. I'm forecasting a high of 53 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, still areas of fog, but otherwise dry, the low 41. Our next round of rain moves in Thursday. Be ready for showers in the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's high at 49. Friday is dry. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Great news for my sponsor, Napoli Sea. And it's no surprise to me nor hundreds who have dined there. The first time I entered, it was clear Napoli Sea is unique. The decor, the fish, imaginative cocktails, and of course Napoli Sea is right next door to Napoli 3 in St. Charles. Napoli 2 is in Town and Country. The original Cafe Napoli is in Clayton. And I'm honored to endorse each of them. Visit any of the Cafe Napolis.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo for my friends at A Plus Plumbing and Drain, and they truly are our friends because they have done it all at our house over the years, from putting in a new faucet to installing a whole new bathroom from scratch. The team at A Plus has always done great work for a great price. A Plus Plumbing and Drain is a local, family-owned business that can take care of all your plumbing needs and specializes in new construction and home renovation. Call A Plus for your next project at 636-288-7126 or through Facebook at A Plus Plumbing and Drain.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
I heard the call to serve, so I answered. I earned a title and discovered my purpose. I found belonging, an unbreakable bond with my fellow Marines. We fought to overcome adversity together in defense of our nation and its people. I've lived a full life, rich with meaning. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will always look after those around me. I will always uplift and support my country and my community. Because that is the promise I made. That is what it means to be a Marine. Semper Fidelis. Always faithful, always Marine.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
It's all talk. We can have a conversation, okay?
Enough with the lies. We need the facts.
101.9 and 94.1.
Our country got a lot of problems.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Kira Davis, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I never meant to be so bad to you. One thing I said that I would never do.
Okay, the dust has settled in the New Hampshire primary race, and now they're off to Nevada and to South Carolina after this. So let's break down the results. And I think the bigger question here, guys, is where is the race now? Where do we go from here at this point? All right, leftist anti-Semitism on full display at the St. Louis County Council meeting yesterday. I'm going to let the bigots speak for themselves at 6:50. We got a lot of news articles, news items I'm going to bring you up to date on. Just kind of a bunch of crap that we need to make sure you're up to date on that's happening here.
A little housekeeping.
A little housekeeping. But stuff that you need to know here. All right, Joe Cunningham from RedState joins us right now. And Joe, it's kind of weird based on some local stuff that's happening. There's a primary election in New Hampshire, but we're kind of going, oh, yeah, we got to get to that because we've got other stuff that's happening. Are you sensing at all that people are kind of just saying, looking at their watch and going, okay, this thing's still going on? Because normally this time of the election, everybody is fired up about the race and we're projecting delegates and we're predicting and we're looking at polls. And at this point, people are kind of looking around going, okay, we still doing this?
Yeah, I think at this point we can pretty much safely say that we're in general election mode. The media recognizes that they've already started turning their stories to, wow, Trump's in trouble with this group or something like that. And, stories like that. Nikki Haley, last night was her best chance to score a win over Trump and maybe halt some of the momentum, but it was a long shot. I mean, the polling average going into yesterday had her down 19.5 points to Trump. I mean, it was always going to be, it was going to end up being, I think, the biggest primary upset in history if she pulled it off last night. She came relatively close compared to what the polling was, but there's a lot of Democrat and independent crossover vote. I mean, you're allowed to do that in New Hampshire, and that kept Nikki afloat. It just wasn't enough. So I think at this point, it's pretty safe to say that we're at the general election now. It's going to be Trump. It's going to be Biden. And I think that the Trump campaign kind of understands this, and what they really need to do now is kind of shift to that. And there's a couple things that Trump can do. For example, he can really start hammering the border. I mean, the border is a bigger and bigger issue. There's tons of news stories about it. Even the media has to cover some of it, although they're trying to spin it in a way that's good for Biden and it's not working. Trump needs to start reaching out to Haley's biggest donors and saying, hey, look, dead man walking, dead campaign walking. I want to beat Biden. I want to bring some of the policies that are of interest to you to the fore. Let's sit down and negotiate. What is it you want from my administration? And just kind of go from there.
Morning, Joe. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So a lot of the talk prior to this was, just kind of speculating when Nikki Haley is going to get out of the race. I mean, I know sometimes it feels premature, but in this case, it's I think, relevant, especially because with South Carolina coming up, does she want to experience the I would say humiliation of losing her home state?
I don't think she does. She might go through it. She might force herself to go through it. But after that, it's pretty much a done deal. You're not going to win your home state. If you can't win your home state, you can't be expected to win any major, especially national campaign. Your home state's kind of important. You can't carry where your actual base is. And right now, all the polling shows she's way behind there as well. So I think there's a few things at play here. I think Trump has a larger share of the base than I think a lot of people, even the pro-Trump crowd, was suspecting. I think that there is a sense of inevitability still that's in the polling that's kind of bumping up his numbers a little bit. But there's also something that Politico, of all places, pointed out yesterday morning that I think is pretty interesting as well. They pointed out that in New Hampshire, the Trump campaign was running a very issues-based campaign. They were appealing to Republican voters. They were running ads on immigration. They were putting out talking points about the Second Amendment, the debanking trend, and stuff like that. These are all issues that Republican voters really care about. And Nikki Haley's message was, it's time for a new generation. These guys are too old. And she wasn't putting forward solutions that would really win the base, which is kind of leading, and a lack of that messaging is what was really leading a lot of people to think that she wasn't really all that conservative in the first place. I've been a Nikki Haley fan forever. I've always been sure that she was conservative. I think that her campaign was focused too much on the broad appeal. I'm not against the big tent Republicanism, but she was focused so much on broad appeal that she alienated a lot of conservatives and came across as a rhino, and that really hurt her campaign. She probably would have had a better showing in both Iowa and New Hampshire if she had focused a lot more on those kinds of issues and been a lot harder, not been flip-flopping, and not had the verbal gas that she had, because she's been getting terrible advice.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Stal Ponticus here. I know we're looking ahead to South Carolina, but could you give us a brief look at Nevada, which is also coming up, because they've got some sort of odd setup there?
Well, they do have an odd setup. The state GOP wanted to switch to a primary, because I think Nevada has caucuses.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of a split deal. The RNC, they weren't going to issue delegates based on a primary. They were going to focus on the caucus. And that was a big issue several weeks back, when you still had several non-Trump candidates in there who felt that they had a better chance in a primary than in a caucus. That doesn't really mean as much now, because, again, we're down to two candidates, probably one candidate, before we get too much closer to Nevada. At this point, I think all of the rest of this is really just formality. We got to go through the primaries and everything, but I really do think that we're in general election mode, no matter who you think should be or should not be in the race at this point. I think that we have to kind of treat this as a general election. I think that a lot of the voters are already treating it as a general election. And that's where I think Trump ultimately has to start broadening the issues he's talking about, talk more about the economy, talk more about the border, talk more about crime, start hitting start hitting Joe Biden a lot more than hitting Nikki Haley or anybody else. It's time to focus, because the thing that Trump was missing 4 years ago was a clear plan of attack, because Joe Biden was in the basement the entire time, right? Now Joe Biden has a record as president. It's a pretty bad one. So they need to the Trump team can now go in and say, hey, look at everything I did versus everything he did. I had one bad year, and it was because of a pandemic that came out of China. Joe Biden has caused every problem that we're seeing now.
We're visiting with Joe Cunningham from RedState.com, and here's what's really odd about all of this, Joe, is that out of 270 delegates needed to secure the nomination, it's 31-15 right now, is literally a 16-delegate difference between the two. And yet the conversation is, well, it's all over. Why are we still doing these? And, Donald Trump, of course, he's still taking swings at Nikki Haley. That's his opponent. She's still running. She actually said last night she had this to say about staying in the race.
Now, you've all heard the chatter among the political class. They're falling all over themselves, saying this race is over. Well, I have news for all of them. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
All right, and so that's her take on this. Now, Joe, is she maybe counting on, or media counting on, saying, okay, well, at some point, don't forget, there's probably going to be a conviction in the criminal court. Trump may lose again in the civil stuff as well. Are they still looking at maybe there are some variables that could change some things?
Their variables certainly could change things. And the Nikki Haley campaign in previous weeks has shown that they're in it for the long haul. I think last night fundamentally kind of changes that. But I do know, because I've talked to elected Republicans here in Louisiana, and they're on some of these national lists. They're already starting to get Louisiana targeted messages from the Haley campaign. They've clearly bought a list, and they're already doing that reach out there. So they're clearly trying. And Louisiana's primary isn't until toward the end of March. Mm-hmm. So they've been laying a lot of groundwork trying to make this a long race. From the next couple of states, you've got South Carolina, you've got Nevada, she really doesn't have any favorable states coming up in the near future to kind of justify keeping her campaign going. And if you're even a moderate Republican and you don't care for Trump, but you dislike the Biden administration a lot more, you're going to start wondering, is this a good use of resources? Because you're right. There are a lot of variables. There are the indictments. There is possible convictions. There are legal costs, whether there's convictions or not. Those are resources that are going to be used on Donald Trump that wouldn't have been used for Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley or anybody else. But the Republican Party needs all the resources they can get. The RNC is sitting on a few $1 million versus the Democrats, who have raised over the course of the last couple of months $100 million or more. I mean, there's a big resource deficiency in the GOP right now, and they need every dollar they can get. Is Nikki Haley wasting resources by staying in? If the plan is to make the country better and your campaign isn't getting traction, do you want to waste those resources, or do you want to go ahead and give the Republican Party the best chance to win in order to beat Joe Biden and start undoing the stuff, and maybe try this again in 4 years when it's you versus DeSantis in 2028?
All right, Joe Cunningham, RedState.com. Hey, Joe, we've already tagged you on our social media. Hey, appreciate the observations as always, man.
Thanks, Joe.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon. All right, 314-912-1019. Just ahead here, dump some news on you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Got some thoughts?
Let's see what's crap's going on.
I am watching the comments as well on social media. We'll get through some of those here at around 6:50 on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Do you remember when we used to dance? And incidents arose from circumstance. One thing led to another, we were young. And we would scream together, songs unsung. It was the heat of the moment, telling me what my heart meant. The heat of the moment.
Caucus's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Does she walk? Does she talk? Does she come?
All right, Missouri's Republican leadership in the state Senate declares war on the Freedom Caucus. We'll talk about that here in a couple of minutes.
All-out war.
Yeah, all-out war. And a bunch of anti-Semitic bigots tried to take over the St. Louis County Council meeting last night. They actually succeeded for a little bit.
Yeah.
Cops had to remove them. That's what we're dealing with in St. Louis.
I was hoping for rubber bullets, but it didn't happen.
That did not happen, no. All right, 6:51 right now. It's got a lot of stuff here that we can go over. By the way, in response to that conversation with Joe Cunningham from RedState.com, let's see her on Rumble. Lunch Lady says, as long as she, meaning Nikki Haley, as long as she gets funding, she'll keep going. Democrats switch parties to vote for her. That's her take on there. Let's see here. Rebecca, referring to these anti-Semitic protesters that we're going to hear from in a minute. Rebecca says, listening to a cult in action, the first part was so ridiculous, it made me laugh, which you're going to hear in just a little bit as well.
Quite ridiculous.
By the way, at 7:05, we've got Bob Onder, of course, running for lieutenant governor. And he is, I would say, an affiliate of the Freedom Caucus because he's termed out.
He's Freedom Caucus adjacent.
He's Freedom Caucus adjacent. We're going to get his reaction to what happened here because the establishment basically declared political war on the Freedom Caucus.
Sure
folks.
did.
Caleb Rowden, he seems to be going for the shock and awe technique.
As the leader of the Missouri Senate and with the full support of the true Republican majority, we will no longer allow this to stand.
Okay, so among the things that happened yesterday, he booted Senators Rick Bratton, Denny Hoskins, Andrew Koenig, and Bill Eigel from their chair and their vice chair positions. So basically removing them from any ability to actually have a significant influence on legislation. And Rowden also moved their parking places, or at least Bill Eigel's parking place, to the outer rings of the Capitol, which is kind of the political equivalent of boo-boo.
Yeah, absolutely. So petty. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into that 7:05 with Bob Onder, so about 10 minutes from right now.
By the way, Don from YouTube made a comment that Caleb Rowden has shown himself to definitely be a rhino, and he's not for the people.
Yep. You said Don said that?
Mhm.
Yeah, Don, you're not alone in thinking that.
Nope.
All right, let's see here. Closer to St. Louis here. We're going to get into this in more depth here in a little bit as well. But for now, I put together a few of the clips of the pro-Hamas protesters who for a little bit actually took over last night's St. Louis County Council meeting.
Sam Page funds genocide and this council co-signs.
Madam Chair, that's 3 minutes. Excuse me, everybody. So if we want to make sure everybody can speak and we don't clear out this room, I need you all to recognize the decorum of this chamber.
From the river to the sea. To the sea. Palestine will be free. Be free. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
Okay, this is how disgusting these people are. And if you know somebody who was part of this, please tell them that Mike Ferguson from newstalkstl.com believes that they are disgusting people.
Yes.
Not that I just find their views abhorrent, but I think that they as people are gross and disgusting, and I have no respect for you whatsoever. So if you happen to know one of these idiots, please let them know by name that the guy on the radio was talking about him. The anti-Semitic protest, Gabe, happened at the meeting where the council was considering a resolution to recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and these a-holes are chanting from the river to the sea.
Yeah, of course they are. And look, the choice of day, the choice of situation to interrupt was not coincidental.
No.
Right?
No.
So there it is. And hearing that first chant again, by the way, reminds me of a child throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
You know, it's or that group of kids, the group of mean kids who are trying to make fun of you because you take your books home.
Right. And, or the villain in a monster movie, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
they always
exactly.
do that little ditty on there. Mm-hmm. All right. Donald Trump won the New Hampshire GOP primary. Nikki Haley vowing to fight on.
Even though Haley didn't deliver an upset victory in New Hampshire, she's not ending her run for the White House. She told supporters last night that this race is far from over and that she's the last one standing next to Donald Trump. The former president is unhappy about Haley's refusal to quit. He wrote on social media that she is delusional.
That's tracks for Trump.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Trump won with 54% of the vote compared to 43% for Nikki Haley. So that's 11 delegate votes to Trump. Haley picks up another 8. Remember, it takes 270 to secure that nomination. It is Trump 31, Haley 15 at the moment. Okay, quick update here on another story. The former Town and Country police sergeant accused of sexually abusing 2 children turns himself in. Cops were looking for him for about a week. 57-year-old Jordan Fowle surrendered at the Jefferson County Jail on Tuesday. Prosecutors accuse him of abusing 2 children from 2012 to 2023. Fowle retired from the Town and Country Police Department last year. City says none of the alleged abuse happened while he was on duty.
And it doesn't matter.
Horrible story.
Doesn't matter.
Horrible
Put him
story.
under the prison.
Yeah, so he's in jail. He's there's a hearing next week on where everything stands with his court cases here as well. All right, St. Charles County and some individual municipalities are cracking down on expired temp tags, right?
Hey, we just missed Temp Tag Tuesday.
That's right. Well, now there's a push to have more traffic stops for that in St. Louis County. Councilman Mark Harder says he's introducing a resolution this week that calls for county police to step up enforcement of expired tags. That, of course, means more traffic stops and an attack on our way of life in St. Louis.
Isn't all that going away anyway? Like the next time they buy a
Eventually.
car, they're going to have to,
Yeah.
and just charge them the fine then. Just let it clock out.
It's my amusement to see how long some of these things are. By the way, the Blues won 4-3 over Calgary Flames last night in Calgary.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice.
For conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
We're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. We're going to seal up the border.
Has Donald Trump ever felt pressure from the media conglomerate and from the big donors? No. He's going to do what he thinks is in the best interest of the country.
101.9 and 94.1.
My news station.
News Talk STL.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
The Republican Party, City of St. Louis, extends its deepest thanks to Attorney General Andrew Bailey for the awaited report on Ken Gardner. Attorney General Bailey, in a city where every heartbeat matters, you've been the steady hand guiding us back to safety. Your persistent hard work and dogged pursuit of justice have begun to paint a new picture of hope and security in the city of St. Louis. To read the news article, full report, and executive summary, go to stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Hey, it's Columbo and Katie inviting you to join us, plus Mark Close and a whole bunch of our musical friends, Saturday, January 27th at Westport Playhouse.
Our band, Mark's band, and Lenny Mink will be joined by some very special guests for an awesome night of music for a great cause. All proceeds go to Thrive St. Louis. Get your tickets now at westportplay.com and join us for a great party January 27th at Westport Playhouse. Brought to you by Weber Chevrolet.
Tickets on sale now at westportplay.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Former President Trump with a message this morning for New Hampshire.
Thank you very much. We love you. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on the trail.
Following his Iowa caucus win, Mr. Trump has swept to victory in the New Hampshire primary. Despite her second loss, White House correspondent Greg Clugston says Nikki Haley insists that she is staying in the race.
Even though Haley didn't deliver an upset victory in New Hampshire, she's not ending her run for the White House. She told supporters last night that this race is far from over and that she's the last one standing next to Donald Trump. The former president is unhappy about Haley's refusal to quit. He wrote on social media that she is delusional.
Mr. Trump also says that Haley got a bit ahead of herself in her speech last night.
I did hear Nikki say, and now it's off to South Carolina. Well, I love South Carolina. I love it. But, you know, she forgot one thing. Next week it's Nevada.
On the Democratic side, although he was not on the ballot, President Biden won the New Hampshire Democrat primary as a write-in candidate. And yesterday, as New Hampshire was voting, the president and the vice president held a pro-abortion rally in northern Virginia. A Russian governor says there were no survivors in the crash of a Russian military transport plane that went down near the border with Ukraine. The aircraft reportedly carried 65 Ukrainian POWs, along with its crew and several other people on board. The U.S. has hit Iranian-backed militia targets both in Iraq and in Yemen. The Pentagon says those sites played a role in attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria, as well as merchant shipping in the Red Sea. On Wall Street this morning, Dow futures up 94 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Laura Trump provides a fresh and honest perspective on the issues that matter to you on the Right View podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The number of Americans, and I think this is part of the problem right now, the number of Americans getting their news from TikTok quadrupled in the past 3 years. It really kind of terrifies me for what is to come for this country.
Subscribe to The Right View on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at Salem Podcast.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the rain moves out early today, but it's a trade-off. As the steady rain leaves, the fog gets thicker. Dense fog advisory in effect. Give yourself some extra braking room today, especially with some wet pavement out there. Meanwhile, temperatures mild. I'm forecasting a high of 53 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, still areas of fog, but otherwise dry, the low 41. Our next round of rain moves in Thursday. Be ready for showers in the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's high at 49. Friday is dry. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, things getting ugly at the state capitol. The Freedom Caucus gets hit with some pretty big political sanctions from the establishment in Jefferson City. So the big question is, where do we go from here? There's 2 parts of this conversation, guys.
Mm-hmm.
There is the part about the establishment saying, we're angry, we've had it, we're going to fight back and take you out of the equation.
We're not going to take it anymore.
Yeah, and then there's the part of where do we go from here? All right, it is 7:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. By the way, Trump versus Haley, rounds 3 and 4 will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Race is not conceded. It is not over. We'll talk about that more at 7:35. Regarding the Freedom Caucus at the Missouri State Capitol, I got to tell you, I have been doing, and I said this on Twitter or X yesterday. I've been doing something in relation to media, policy, politics, journalism, and been working either covering the state capitol or working with people in the state capitol or working with the policy that is happening in the state capitol for like 28 years, over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen anything like what happened yesterday.
It is wild.
Nothing like that before. And we went into the session knowing that it was precarious. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that there was a good chance that things weren't going to get done because the establishment was getting called out.
Yeah.
They were preemptively getting called out
Mm-hmm.
because they've been dragging their feet. They want credit for all the conservative stuff.
Absolutely they do.
But they've been dragging their feet, and when they got called out enough overall, and the Freedom Caucus says, we're not messing around now.
Right.
Caleb Rowden throws 4 of them off of their committee chairmanships, vice chairmanships as well. Which removes a lot of their political power. And then, of course, the pettiness of like, now you have to park way out there instead of early on. We're joined now by Bob Onder, former state senator. He was in the original version of the Freedom Caucus called the Conservative Caucus. Now we've, because you're not in office, you're not in a caucus, Bob, but we've determined that you're Freedom Caucus adjacent. Fair enough?
I sure am. Good morning, guys. Yes, they call me a member emeritus, which, coming from the medical school background, your professors emeritus were always about 93 years old. So I'm not sure that's a compliment, but that's what I am.
Okay, respond to something Caleb Rowden said yesterday, Bob. Here's part of his press conference.
The Chaos Caucus has chosen to use the Missouri Senate as a place to try and salvage their languishing statewide campaigns and intentionally destroy the institution in an effort to claim that the game is rigged against them.
All right, the floor is yours, Bob.
Where do I start? Well, the reason the Freedom Caucus, previously the Conservative Caucus organized in the first place, is to advance the conservative agenda, realizing that many times the leadership, the swamp, and no one more epitomizes left of center Republican leadership and the swamp than Caleb Rowden, was not sympathetic to the conservative agenda that Missourians sent us to Jeff City to accomplish. We organized back in January of 2019, and we fought. And I'll tell you, all of the conservative, not one or two, but all of the conservative reforms that have actually happened in the last, several years are because of the direct action, the efforts, sometimes the really hard fights that the Conservative Caucus has waged. For instance, in 2019, Caleb Rowden and Dave Schatz had no intention whatsoever of passing a pro-life bill, which came to be known as the Heartbeat Bill, that protected all innocent human life in our state. So we leveraged an enormous pork barrel bill that was a priority of the Rhino establishment, and we held it hostage, and finally we agreed to sit down on that bill in return for getting the Heartbeat Bill. The Second Amendment Protection Act, external pressure from groups like the Missouri Firearms Coalition and the National Rifle Association, plus the exertions of the Conservative Caucus, now Congressman Eric Burless and others, are why we passed SAPA. Last year, it was external pressure plus Freedom Caucusers who forced the Rhino leadership of the Senate to accept the SAFE Act to protect our kids from the gender ideologues and protect women's sports. So what's happened is that Caleb doesn't want to pass anything conservative, and he's tired of Freedom Caucusers being effective. And most of all, he is most angry that Freedom Caucusers are calling out his left of center agenda. And he's especially angry at it because he's running statewide himself for Secretary of State against another Freedom Caucuser, Denny Hoskins. So the problem is not the Freedom Caucus. It is that Caleb Rowden and other rhinos in the Missouri Senate are defining themselves by opposition to conservative principle.
Morning, Bob. Gabe here. Well, a lot of the people who are coming out on Rowden's side here are their argument is that the Freedom Caucusers are a little too rowdy. They came out too hot. They're causing disruption as opposed to advancing things. We even had a comment online about this. What on Facebook? What did that say?
Yeah, Scooter had a comment that he was happy that Rowden actually made those moves and got rid of the dead enders and the nags.
His words.
His words.
And
yes.
I haven't heard nags in ages.
So is there any merit to any of that? Did the Freedom Caucus come out a little too hot too early?
Yeah, what did Spiro Agnew say? The nattering the bobs of negativity.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That's some Greek wisdom right there.
Yeah, there you go. So what happened last week is that the Freedom Caucus realized that all of the joint resolutions, and that's what the bill to fix our broken and left-wing group enabling initiative petition system, though all those bills had none of them had been referred. In other words, Caleb Rowden, as he has done the last several years, was planning on killing initiative petition reform. And it's probably no surprise because he's taken $200,000 from a pro-abortion PAC into his PAC. So he's basically bought off on the abortion issue. So he's enabling the pro-abortion initiative petitions to come to Missouri to change our Constitution and put abortion in our Constitution. And by the way, there are anti-gun groups who want to put gun control in our Constitution. Medicaid was expanded by a constitutional initiative petition. So they realized, okay, Caleb has no intention whatsoever of passing initiative petition reform. Tell you what, we're going to hold up the gubernatorial appointments on this happened on Thursday until initiative petition is passed out of this body. After all, Caleb says he wants to pass initiative petition reform. Let's hold him to it. Now, is that the usual, quote, process? Well, no, of course it's not. The usual process is exactly how Caleb Rowden kills legislation. And this happened to me when Dave Schatz was pro tem, Rowden's immediate predecessor. Dave Schatz, my last year in the Senate, referred every single one of my bills into two unfavorable committees where they would die. This is the game they play. And the reason it's coming to a head now is the Freedom Caucus is very effective at calling out. I mean, it's hard to even call them rhinos anymore, Republicans in name only. They're just Democrats. They're doing the progressive left agenda for what? Well, mostly to get money from the lobbyist swamp so they can run for statewide office, which is exactly what Caleb Rowden's doing right now.
Hey, real quick, Bob, the removal of Bill and Rick and Andrew and Denny from committee chairmanships, talk about how that affects their influence and ability to write legislation, because that is significant. That's not symbolic.
Yeah, that's not at all. Yeah. So now it's funny, though. Sometimes the pro tem, certainly this was the case with Schatz. It continues to be the case with Rowden. They don't always make common sense bill referrals. So, for instance, bills that for years went to my Health and Pensions Committee, and after all, I am kind of the health expert in the Missouri Senate when I was there, they would send them to other committees. For instance, Dave Schatz sent all of my pro-life bills to Senator Bill White's committee where he killed him. But, within a given area, I think I forget what all their assignments are, but basically Andrew Koenig chaired the Education Committee. All of the education reform bills went to his committee. So Andrew could advance good bills and, kill some of the Democrat bad bills that get filed every year in his committee. Losing a chairmanship is a really big deal. And also his staff loses, we talked about the pettiness of taking away the parking spot. His staff budget will go down by $10,000. So Caleb Rowden is also cutting those four senators' employees' paychecks too.
Hey, Bob, Stal Ponticus here. Would you agree with me on this quick statement that Rowden pulled a Pelosi?
He definitely pulled a Pelosi. Yeah, Pelosi in D.C., Pelosi was emblematic, but, so is Schumer, but the House Speaker has more power than Schumer. Pelosi was drunk with her own power. She thought she could get away with anything, and by and large, that was true. This is very Pelosi-like behavior on the part of Caleb Rowden.
All right, Senator Bob Onder, of course, last time we talked, running for lieutenant governor of Missouri. I'm not going to put you on the spot and say, hey, any updates on that?
Yeah, but you can. Look, Washington is broken. The Biden has killed our economy, has given us record inflation. Our southern border is porous. I was the number one reformer of illegal immigration in my time in public service. Our healthcare system needs improvement. We've got to push back against wokeness in education. It is Washington, D.C. that's destroying our country. And at this point, I'll modify my previous statement sometimes. It's very likely you'll hear an announcement for me on that 3rd congressional district seat.
All right. Well, make sure whenever that time comes, Bob, you got my number.
You got it.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Former Senator Bob Onder from the Freedom Caucus of Missouri. By the way, that conversation is going to be up on our podcast within a few hours or so be sure to check that out. Okay, pro-Hamas bigotry, anti-Semitism taking over one of the local government's meetings last night.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let you hear directly from the bigots.
Let them speak.
Got any thoughts on what Bob had to say? Well, let's hear it. 314-912-1019.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I see your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
It's Wednesday at 4:25. We'll speak with geologist Gregory Wrightstone on climate change lies. At 5:25, Stephen Stepanek of Trump for New Hampshire recaps the New Hampshire primary.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Are you tired of the corruption and special interest groups controlling our state and cities? Are you tired of yelling at your TV or your car radio because important issues like crime, homelessness, education, and taxes are being blocked by special interest groups? It is time for Missourians to declare our independence from special interest groups corrupting our government. Join the Freedom Principle Mo today, and you can be an integral part of creating the largest statewide member-led organization fighting for America and Missouri First policies. The Freedom Principle Mo is fighting to put the voters back in charge of our government. The Freedom Principle Mo has been a leading voice in Jefferson City, fighting for our police and making our community safer, exposing corruption at the local level and in Jefferson City. It's time to start making our elected officials start listening to us and finally start passing legislation that protects our freedom and protects Missouri's values. Visit our website at freedomprinciplemmo.org and join today and make 2024 the year we get something done.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The FAA promotes diversity over safety, wants to hire people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. Why don't they just hire blind people to be pilots?
Well, I've actually said that this is a cost-saving measure because if you hire a schizophrenic pilot, the co-pilot's in his head. So you don't have to hire another guy.
That is awesome. Doug Blair. This is your pilot. No, I'm the pilot. No, I'm the pilot. Don't listen to him.
Vic Porcelli. Live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
The Democrat Party is going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, the presidential race continues, and pro-Hamas bigots take over a local government meeting. I think let's move this to 7:35.
Yeah, let's talk about that later.
We talked about Bob Onder just on with us a few minutes ago. I want to go over a couple results of the New Hampshire primaries here as well. But these bigots who took over the St. Louis County Council, they only took it over for a few minutes, and the cops removed their sorry asses. from there. They're making their points, and their point is that they hate Jewish people. They hate the state of Israel, but they hate Jewish people.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
So if you are Jewish, what you're going to hear is going to infuriate you at 7:35 or so, and it should.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, 314-912-1019. I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Gabe Pfeiffer. We got Stel Ponticus here. It is 7:23 right now. All right, let's see here. A few things that are coming through on the social media sites here. Let's see here. We've got on Rumble, elections have consequences. Let's see here. What else do we have here is, regarding the New Hampshire primaries, Jay Monty, he says, watch the media today. They're going to talk about how Trump barely won and how Biden destroyed everyone. It was about a 12-point win by Trump.
Mm-hmm.
It was less than what the polling was saying it was going to be.
Yeah.
The Joe Biden thing is really weird because he wasn't on the ballot, and the DNC is not going to count the electoral votes, but a write-in campaign got more than all the other Democratic candidates. So Joe Biden actually won via write-in.
Yeah.
But
64%.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That's wild.
But not that there are that many Democrats showing up to vote in the
Well,
primaries.
yeah, no,
but still,
I mean, it was,
that's just a weird little quirk. All right, before we get to the New Hampshire primary thing, looks like Mike's got some thoughts on what's happening with Jeff City, with Caleb Rowden, and other Republicans versus the Freedom Caucus. What's your take, Mike?
Okay. Just to let everybody know, if they would have watched the Blues game, they wouldn't have had to listen to all that.
You're not wrong.
That being said, I was always under the impression that the Speaker of the House on the Senate side and the House side is elected by the members. So apparently our House of Representatives in both houses are filled with pro-Democrat people. To put these people like Caleb Rowden in positions of power.
Yeah, I remember when they had their caucus retreat where they actually cast that vote, Andrew Koenig started to run against him, and he just didn't have the votes. So Caleb Rowden was actually re-elected unanimously by the caucus because nobody else ran. And I remember on this show, I was lamenting that, and I was saying, boy, this is not good for this coming session. I
have a problem.
I hate to say I told you so.
Right.
But I mentioned exactly that part, Mike, when that happened. And you're right. That's part of the system that's broken, where you've got, people ascend to power by making, the deals. And part of that's just politics. I mean, that's just the way that it is. But the fact that Caleb Rowden is so far out of the mainstream of anything conservative in a bright red state and still is arguably the second or third most powerful man in the entire state shows you just how things are broken.
Well, I agree with you, Mike. I don't know what they can do to correct it. This is terrible. If we're supposedly have the supermajority in both House and Senate for the Republican Party, in quotes, let's put it that way. I just don't understand why they're having so much problems up there. Do they just don't recognize that these people that they're putting in these positions are not who they say they are? Is that a possibility? They don't realize that, or do they know?
I think they know. I think we know who Caleb Rowden is. I think they knew it. That's the thing we need to remember is the Freedom Caucus is a small minority of the Republican caucus. There just aren't enough of them right now.
Part of the problem is that we're electing, these various areas around the state are electing these rhinos into place. And for some reason, we're not able to infiltrate these areas with solid conservative candidates.
Well, as all man said, elections have consequences.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Hey, sir, and thanks. I listen to you all the time.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. All right. All right. That is part of that wonkiness in the weeds mechanisms.
Yeah.
That, we talk about things on the air here. I remember when we talked about that after we heard how those votes went.
Yeah. We were like, come on, guys. I thought we could get around this.
Right. And until you're there, you don't really understand why it works that way, because when Caleb Rowden was reelected and he was elected, Dave Schatz was the term limited out, but when Caleb Rowden was named to that number one spot, we knew who we were getting. We knew we were getting somebody who likes to talk a conservative game at the rubber chicken dinners, but is not conservative and knows how to play the game of politics, which is bizarre because I I've actually known this guy since when he was in his previous career as a contemporary Christian music singer.
Oh yeah! Wow,
and he's a pretty good singer.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day,
he was a worship leader at a church, was he not?
He
in Springfield or someplace?
No, in Columbia.
In Columbia.
Yeah, at whatever chapel church. That so I wish he'd stuck with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here we are.
I agree.
Here we are.
Here we are.
All right, Joe's got some thoughts on this as well. Hey, Joe, you're on News Talk STL.
Hey guys, listen to you every day. Hey, I was watching. I caught some of Caleb Rowden's press temper tantrum. That's what I've been calling it on the news this morning. And I don't know if you guys noticed watching the video. Mary Elizabeth Coleman, she's my state senator in the 22nd, running for CD3, was standing behind Mr. Rowden. I don't think that's a good look for someone that's running for Congress in a very red congressional district. Do you?
Yeah, I saw the picture. I was trying to pick out everybody. I saw Holly Rader and some of the others. I couldn't get the angle to see where Mary Elizabeth was, but Bill Eigel was listing who they were. I think Mary Elizabeth, I think you're right about that, Joe. But yeah, running in a very deep, and the thing is with Congressional District 3, it's deep red and it's conservative. It's conservative. Suburban and very rural as well. Mm-hmm. And of course, you just heard, Bob Onder saying next time we talk to him, he's probably going to have an announcement about that race as well. So that CD3 race isn't even close to being over. It hadn't even started yet.
Oh, man.
That's right.
Hey, Joe, appreciate you being part of the News Talk show, man. Thanks
for the comment.
Hey, thanks, guys. You guys are great. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. 314-912-1019. Here's the thing is, we talk a lot about the bills, Gabe. We talk a lot about the legislation. We talk about why is initiative petition reform important, not because we're wonky and we want to sound like we know so much more because we can talk political talk. It's because we've got people trying to enshrine abortion in the Missouri State Constitution. And if you get enough money, history tells you you've got a good chance of doing it.
Right.
We've got people who want to put gun control in the Missouri State Constitution because they want to eradicate the Second Amendment and infringe on your freedoms the way Illinois does.
Yes.
And so that's why this matters. And so when we're talking about initiative petition reform, this isn't a bunch of policy wonks running around comparing notes and using big words. We're saying this affects our freedom and our lives.
Absolutely. Because think about what's going on right now. We've been talking about this whole decline to sign situation that we're in right now because of, like you said, the attempt by the left to enshrine abortion into the Missouri Constitution. They've already got $1 million behind this. They've got a lot of momentum, and like you said, it only takes 2.5 maybe to buy an initiative through lying and manipulation and all these other things. If we're going to protect the conservative wins that we currently have, as well as advance the role of conservatism in limiting government and things like that, we have to protect our Constitution.
Right.
So we could have tackled this issue last season, last session, right? Or even the session, like 2 sessions before.
We could have done it the last 2 times.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the problem. We're dealing with the consequences now. You're going to have an uncomfortable conversation with one of your friends about declining to sign because we don't have initiative petition reform because of these rhinos.
And that is one of the main issues that drove the conflict between the Freedom Caucus and Caleb Rowden, because they called not even just him, but the establishment out on that, saying this is a conservative priority. If you are going to amend a state constitution, it should be harder than 50% plus one.
Absolutely.
For a permanent constitutional situation. And so this is a big priority. Freedom Caucus said, you're going to put this near the top of the list. We're going to get a guarantee that we're going to move on it, or we're going to be a pain in your butt.
Mm-hmm.
And they became a pain in the butt, politically speaking. And so Caleb Rowden responds by saying, I'm taking you out of power unilaterally.
Yeah, it's wild what's going on right now, but they can't let up. Bill Eigel had a great response earlier on Twitter here about 20-30 minutes ago. It's like a picture of a cat behind a wheel.
That would be Toonces from Saturday Night Live.
From Saturday Night Live, and he's just like looking for a parking spot in the Capitol while trying to ensure freedom. But basically, saying he's not as bothered as I think they wanted him to be by this. He's still going to fight for what needs to happen there in Jeff City.
Unfortunately, I have a feeling that Bill and some of the other guys, I think they were very aware what was about to happen. I think they knew this was coming. Mm-hmm. And you have to decide: are you going to dig in and fight, or are you going to roll over and go, okay, fine, I'll go along to get along now?
Yeah.
I don't. That's not Bill Eigel. That's not his personality.
No.
314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the rain moves out early today, but it's a trade-off. As the steady rain leaves, the fog gets thicker. Dense fog advisory in effect. Give yourself some extra braking room today, especially with some wet pavement out there. Meanwhile, temperatures mild. I'm forecasting a high of 53 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, still areas of fog, but otherwise dry, the low 41. Our next round of rain moves in Thursday. Be ready for showers in the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's high at 49. Friday is dry. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Ackerman Toyota had a great 2023, so Jay asked me to thank you for all of your support. Loyal customers making Ackerman Toyota number one in St. Louis Toyota sales. Number one out of the 75 Toyota dealers in the region in Camry and Corolla sales. Ackerman has the lowest prices, great selection. Visit Ackerman at Hampton and 44 or online, ackermantoyota.com. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
When I was a TV news anchor, if our network was carrying Super Bowl, it was great. We promoted it. We talked about it on the air continuously. But if another network on a competing station in town had the game, we ignored it. As if we didn't talk about it, no one would know about the game. Yeah, right. Of course they did, and we looked like idiots by ignoring it. And if we were doing a newscast while the game was underway, we knew nobody's watching this newscast. I wouldn't even be watching it. All this leads up to how the leftist media has, is, and will continue to cover Donald Trump, like the 91 Iowa. CNN let him start his victory speech, then quickly cut away. MSNBC said, not going to show any of the speech. They think like with local stations and the Super Bowl. If we don't mention it, give it airtime, no one will know that Trump won. And when Trump wins in November, instead of covering the inauguration, I imagine right now some creative minds at the leftist media are putting together a collection of cat videos. Cat videos. No Trump coverage.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, Not available in all states.
Get charged up on the truth. Power Punch with Larry Behrens.
Everyone's talking about the $6 billion Joe Biden sent to Iran just about a month ago. As well they should be. But did you know he has opened up the money flow to Tehran for well over a year? He doesn't want to talk about it, but we will.
Power Punch with Larry Behrens. Saturday afternoons at 4 on News Talk STL.
Get more Power Punch at powertofuture.com.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, bigotry on display at a governmental meeting. And it wasn't actually from the politicians. I'm going to tell y'all right now that the audio clips that I'm about to play really happened at the St. Louis County Council meeting last night.
Mm-hmm.
Happened at the location, governmental seat of power in the county that your tax dollars pay for.
It's not a skit or a bit.
This is not a skit. I didn't take something out of context from New York City or from Los Angeles or wherever.
Mm-hmm.
This happened right here. We'll get to that in just a minute.
Hearing this audio, it may get you hotter than the coffee you're drinking.
Yeah, really. It's really embarrassing. It should be embarrassing to the entire community.
Mm-hmm.
But about 50 or so, according to the different reporters who were in the room, about 50 people went to that in order to protest. Which, you know what, you've got a right to protest for any stupid thing you want.
Sure.
This isn't about your right to protest.
Yeah, you're allowed to do it.
Yeah, your right to say stupid stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll defend that. I'll fight for your right to say stupid stuff.
Absolutely.
But I've got a right to say that what you're doing is stupid. And these people are absolutely disgusting.
Yes.
And they decided to completely take over a governmental meeting and not allow anything else to happen, at least for a little while. Then the police had to remove them. That's not violating their rights.
No.
They were violating other people's rights to speak to their government.
Right.
All right, so we'll get to that in just a second. By the way, we get a lot of comments on, I feel a little weird popping this in there in a topic this heavy, but a lot of the bump music, we get a lot of comments on the bump music that we use here. We've actually now got a special spot on newstalkstl.com. If you go to Mike Ferguson in the morning, you can get the list of the songs. So if you hear, what was that song? Like that last one, that not the Billy Joel one, but the one before that, somebody's like, I haven't heard that song before. Just go to newstalkstl.com, Mike Ferguson in the morning, and you can get the list of the bump music each day because we've had so many people comment on our bump music, which, ranges over decades.
It's a thing.
So.
And you'll see the info on that song, which was Chaos by Mute Math, and a link to it so you can watch the video.
Okay, there you go.
Castell is a consummate professional and always keeps us bumping.
Okay, so this happened last night at the St. Louis County Council meeting, or yesterday afternoon. So 50 or so people, and one of the speakers is a young woman by the name of Paige Mathis, it looks like. And so she secures her time to speak to the county council, which, by the way, on the agenda was a motion to approve a resolution recognizing International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
Right. That's what's the business at hand.
Right.
Right.
Or at least part of it on the agenda. And so 50 or so bigots show up, and this is part of what happened. And so what you're going to hear is the speaker speaking like you would expect, and then she goes into this bizarre mental illness display, and then you hear the chanting, and then you hear the chair literally calling for, okay, we got to get security over to take care of this. This is what happened, and it only gets worse from here, by the way.
Sam Page funds genocide, and this council co-signs. Sam Page funds genocide, and this council co-signs.
Madam Chair, excuse me, everybody. So if we want to make sure everybody can speak and we don't clear out this room, I need you all to recognize the decorum of this chamber. I'm asking you to wrap up your statement, ma'am.
Has anybody changed their mind because somebody chanted or sang a children's melody?
At this time, I'm going to ask
such a convincing argument, though,
I
Mike.
know.
I mean, why aren't you on her side yet?
Because I have more than 3 brain cells to rub together. And so they did, and all of a sudden what happened at that meeting is suddenly there were no more Republicans and Democrats. There were people who were chosen. You had to choose which side are you on? Are you on good or evil? And to do this and what I'm going to play here in a minute that happened last night as well, I want to remind you, and I know you're saying, Mike, you just said this happened when the county council had before them a resolution to recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And that's when these people, if you want to call them that, decided to come and make their statements and do it in this way.
That's not incidental.
No.
It's not coincidental. It's not we made a mistake, we picked the wrong day. That was deliberate. It was intentional by any stretch of the imagination.
Because after she's doing her children's melody singing thing, then she turns around and leads the dozens of bigots in this chant in the governmental building. And by the way, they're just talking over the top, everybody taking over the governmental process. And it looks like they succeeded for about 15 minutes. And so the St. Louis County Police are coming in as security, and they're moving. And this dumb chick begging to be arrested, sticking her wrists out, like, come on, handcuff me. She thinks she's going to be some kind of martyr.
Yes.
And so her picture's all over the place on social media and everything. So if you see her, treat her accordingly.
Yeah, here's the attention you wanted.
Right.
Most of it's going to be negative.
and it should be.
And it should be.
You know, these people don't have any ethics. This is somebody who has no morals. This is somebody who has simply chosen evil on so many different levels. But they took over the county council meeting for a little while. So the question then becomes, what's next? Because when you get to this level of mental illness and even just the evil, the mindset that comes with this, they truly act like they have the right and moral authority to do or say whatever they want, and nobody else has any rights when they are ranting.
Absolutely.
And this is what leads to physically dangerous situations.
They are children throwing a tantrum. They're saying, okay, if you want us to stop annoying you, if you want us to stop yelling and chanting and upsetting everything and disrupting all of your processes, you're going to give us what we want. That's the current mindset that's running through. And it's only 2, maybe 3 steps away from give me what I want or I hurt you.
Yeah. And we've already had a few situations where somebody was physically accosted, for the horrible crime of having an Israeli flag, and then they get attacked by these morons. But it just shows you that bigotry, anti-Semitism, it runs deep on the left here in the St. Louis area. I don't think that this is the fringe necessarily of the left.
Oh no!
I think and if you disagree with me on that, I'm definitely wanting to hear you out. But remember, this is the mindset that's gotten Cory Bush elected to Congress. Multiple times.
Yeah, and we also need to remember what happens in history when anti-Semitism goes from the shadows to the forefront.
Yeah.
Like what happens in historically speaking, every time anti-Semitism rises as a sort of public outcry, we end up in absolute social upheaval.
Right.
And I do not want to go where history says we're heading.
There is an excellent display of just that, and we're talking going back thousands of years, at the Holocaust Museum in St. Louis. Now, yes, I know their programming tends to, with their speakers and everything, tend to lean left. I get it. I understand that. But their displays and their artifacts and their history is excellent, and you really ought to check it out.
Absolutely.
I mean, I wouldn't maybe skip the speaking series, but the museum itself, is sobering and very, very, very well done. All right, 314-912-1019. Hey, should we be cracking down on those temp tags again?
No, leave them alone. I mean, look, I'm the rule follower. I originally was thinking, you know what? Yeah, get those guys. But with the new law coming through, it was like, just let it.
One of our friends is saying, come on, let's get these people.
Well.
All right, let's talk about it just ahead here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. But if you have any thoughts or reflections, we do have time to prioritize that at 314-912-1019.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Tim Jones here. I'm with Eric from Newsteaders, Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, Newsteaders has been around since 1961. Tell us the story.
Well, Richard started this 62 years ago, and we've stayed a local family-owned store since then. We've actually got 3 generations of Newsteaders working in the store. Richard, his wife, his daughter, and his granddaughter, and we all love what we do. We're kind of a St. Louis family tradition, and we do a lot of unique and one-of-a-kind custom pieces, as well as repairs. There's basically nothing that we can't do, and all of our work is done on site, so you can feel secure knowing that your jewelry never leaves, which is unusual now. And we can computer generate images of custom pieces if you want to go custom. We can take that old jewelry that you're not wearing, and we can turn that into something new that you absolutely love.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
Hello, my name is Chad Clayman with Clayman Group, where you can find us online at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com. Do you have a house that you'd like to sell as is and not deal with the market? Maybe you have a tenant not paying the rent or a house in disrepair and you want a simple solution for your sale? We've been in business for over 88 years and we've helped thousands of people sell their house in as-is condition with no middleman involved. Reach out today at claymangroup.com, KLAMEN group.com, and receive an offer today.
Hey guys, Columbo here, reminding you that if you belong to an organization like a school or a church, or your kids are part of a group or a sports team that needs to raise money, there's no better way to do so than with a TJ's Pizza fundraiser. TJ's Pizza has been helping local organizations raise money for over 30 years to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. A local company helping local people, and there's lots of different ways TJ's can help you raise big money fast. Get started now at tjspizza.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Goat Lady is one of our super News Talk rumblers.
Super
and
fan.
She says, I hate chanting people.
I think there's a visceral reaction to particular chants.
It depends on the chant. Like, for instance, here's a good chant, okay? Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues. Okay, good chant. Good chant.
Yes, that's good.
What we just played a little bit ago, bad chant.
Right.
So that's I get it. And the thing is like you said, nobody changes their mind.
No, why would I? If my child is having a tantrum, which is the equivalent of the adult equivalent of it. My child's having, I am literally disincentivized from giving them whatever they want. Even if I was originally planning on giving them what they wanted, the fact that they're throwing a tantrum about it means I am not giving it to you because I'm not going to incentivize this kind of behavior.
Yeah, and you and I and Stell are talking during that last information segment, and you mentioned, and I said this is probably the only time that you use the word the right way.
Right.
When you said it
triggers people.
Right.
That
little melody.
Particularly the first one. Na 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 na. You remember You're somewhere in your lizard brain or your child brain that is back. You remember the first time you heard that, and it's a negative experience. You remember that the movie you saw where it was an echoey voice kind of in the distance, and there's eerie music.
Little demonic pet possessed girl who came back from the dead.
Yeah, he's like, oh my gosh, the bad guy's coming. I'm gonna die.
Or on a playground,
right? Or and then there's the playground. The playground is the other one, and I think that was probably the bigger memory for everybody. Some little a-hole calling some your friend of yours or you a name or something like that. That's usually what that's associated with. And so every time you hear it, it triggers that memory and I think the feeling that goes with it.
I think so too, because when you said triggering, because normally we make fun of that word, but I'm like, I think it actually fits.
Yeah, in this
case right here. So, but the more important thing though is literally they were calling for the genocide and extermination of Jewish people.
Yes, the river to the sea is a genocidal chant. That's what it is.
That's not even that's not even debatable.
Yeah, you can't separate it.
Jeez.
Which river and which sea are we talking about?
All right, let's start with Dave here. Hey, Dave, you're on News Talk STL.
Morning, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Good morning. All right. Hey, I'm here too.
You have to acknowledge the non-gentleman in the room.
I'm not here to judge.
How's it going? What you got?
So this chant, I'm listening to this chant. It sounded familiar. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And then I realized, the cadence, the number of lines and all of that. Do you know what they based that chant off of? It sounds like...
The second one, you mean?
The from the river to the sea.
Oh, yeah, that one? Yep. Get low.
Yeah. From the windows to the wall.
Yep, I heard it. I heard it too.
Are you kidding me? This is...
I was wondering.
Palestine will be free. Get out of here.
Mike wasn't going to pick up on that, but I was hoping one of you guys out there, because it's not his kind of music. But I was going to say something, but I'm glad you're with me. Recognizing.
I got you, man. I can't unhear it.
From the river to the sea.
Wow.
Oh, is that? Wait a minute. Is that the song that's like till the sweat rolls down something?
Yep. Yeah, it's that one. From the window to the wall.
All bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that whole thing.
That's how creative they are. They have to not only be genocidal and maniacal, they also are ripping people off.
Yeah, exactly. They're stealing party songs. Oh no!
Y'all have a good one.
Mike just rage quit. Thanks, man.
Wow. Oh, thanks.
Thanks for your call.
I would in a million years I would have not picked that up.
I
would not have done that. All right. Stell, I'm surprised you didn't hear the rap song in that. No? Okay. Anyway.
No, you didn't catch it?
All right, we got time to talk Steve real quick.
I'm not a rapper.
Yeah. DJ Stell in the house.
In the house.
All right, Steve. Hey, Steve, I got about just a little bit over a minute for you. You're on the air.
Oh, no problem. Good morning. I full disclosure, I filled up multiple passports traveling in and out of the Middle East for the last 30 years, and I was panning the crowd watching the county council meeting last night. And my guess is that most, if not all, of those people have never been there, never seen the absolute waste of our tax dollars that are going into the affected regions, and I can confirm that most of that money is going into the pockets of a select few, and not the people. You cross the border into Israel, and it's like going from crap to Southern California. It's absolutely beautiful. Something's wrong there, and it starts with a complete lack of understanding on the part of these people. I think they just need something to join. They just need to feel like they're part of something. I was looking at that crowd at the county council meeting, and what I saw was not entirely, but a lot of people that probably were not asked to join student government, Greek organizations, or anything like that. They just need to belong to something. And if people's lives get in the way, well, that's just too bad. It's really sad to watch that they would have to disrupt something like that to show their worth. And,
and Steve, it's not even just that they're going to disrupt; it's that they insist on taking over and being forced out, even with the threat of physical force. That is, I mean, to me, if they want to join something, a therapy group would be a good candidate for a lot of these people.
That'd be a good start.
Yeah, and You know, we were having dinner down in the Loop one night, and there was a big parade of the same folks, I'm sure, you know, coming down Del Mar. And, you know, a lot of them were completely covered. They don't want anybody to see their faces. And that's where you lose me. You know, if you're taking up a cause, let people know who you are. And so
totally
it's anyhow. I hadn't even had my second cup of coffee, and you guys got me all charged up.
Hey, Steve, appreciate
it. Anyhow,
thank you so much,
good day.
Steve. You got it. I got an information segment coming up, Steve. Appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
But that's a great point. I didn't even think about that. That, you know, you come in and you cover up with the gator things over your face or the scarf or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to use the excuse of, hey, well, I'm worried about COVID at this point. I think.
Yeah.
You know, what you have is, you know, I want to threaten and try to intimidate other people, but I don't want the cameras to catch who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you are on the wrong side of things. All right. We have people commenting on the whole temp tag thing, which I'm going to get to.
We're going to get to. We're going to get
in just a little bit as well. But AJ Moll, one of the top watchdogs of this anti-Semitism, we actually already have him planned. He's going to be on at 8:05 as well. And then, of course, the Freedom Caucus. They got hit. They got hit hard by the establishment yesterday in Jefferson City. So we got plenty to say about that as well. And it's interesting. We've got people who are saying, hey, wait a minute, who was standing with Caleb Rowden? Because I want to know that come election time.
Yeah.
So this is just the beginning. If you thought it was a rift before, just wait till what this is going to turn into.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s. I should have been a cowboy. Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com. I'll go back. Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A Trump-Biden rematch looking more likely this morning now that Mr. Trump has cruised to victory in the New Hampshire primary. His win has the former president strongly suggesting that his lone GOP challenger exit the race.
Trump easily won Tuesday's Republican primary in New Hampshire.
You know, we won New Hampshire 3 times now, three.
But he used his victory speech to attack former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who finished second.
Let's not have somebody take a victory when she had a very bad night.
Haley is the last major challenger now that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has ended his presidential bid. But Haley says she's staying in. I'm Donna Warner.
Oregon's Democrat lawmakers rolling back parts of a law decriminalizing drugs.
It's a sign that public opinion in Oregon has soured amid rampant public drug use and a fentanyl crisis. Democrats at the state capitol unveiled a new bill that would make the possession of small amounts of drugs a misdemeanor, allowing police to confiscate and crack down on drug use on sidewalks and in parks. The bill aims to make it easier to prosecute dealers, access treatment, and obtain housing. The bill would not apply to Oregon laws legalizing cannabis or psychedelic mushrooms. State Senator and Portland Democrat Kate Lieber tells the Associated Press it's the compromise path to make sure we're continuing to keep communities safe and save lives. I'm Jennifer King.
Russia accuses Ukraine of shooting down a Russian military transport plane near the border between the two countries. The Russians say 65 Ukrainian POWs were on board, and they were all killed. American airstrikes have taken out more Houthi rebel missiles in Yemen. According to U.S. Central Command, the missiles were destined to target merchant ships in the Red Sea. On Wall Street, Dow futures up 142 points, NASDAQ futures 140 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Retirement Outlook.
If your retirement account is mostly stocks or bonds, listen closely. The future of your savings may be more uncertain than ever before. Hi, I'm Paul Stone, CEO of Colonial Metals. The sad truth is, our government continues to eat away at our freedoms and security. In economic times like these, run around the flagpole by lunatics in Washington, I look to the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver that you own. At Colonial Metals, we specialize in helping folks with IRAs and 401ks and other retirement accounts move their savings into physical gold and silver. If you'd like a free gold investment kit, give us a call today at 820-800-8000. My team is standing by ready to rush a free gold investment kit to you. You may also qualify for $7,500 in free silver and a free safe. Call 820-800-8000 now. That's 820-800-8000.
Colonial Metals is not a financial advisor. Consult with your advisor before investing.
That's
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the rain moves out early today, but it's a trade-off. As the steady rain leaves, the fog gets thicker. Dense fog advisory in effect. Give yourself some extra braking room today, especially with some wet pavement out there. Meanwhile, temperatures mild. I'm forecasting a high of 53 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, still areas of fog, but otherwise dry, the low 41. Our next round of rain moves in Thursday. Be ready for showers in the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's high at 49. Friday is dry. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Investment advisory services offered through OWLFI LLC, a SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Are you or someone you know providing or managing care for a loved one today? Did you know there could be more cost-efficient solutions for funding long-term care, even those currently living in a skilled care facility today? Financial strategist and long-term care specialist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management can show you tax-efficient strategies available to help your family manage care concerns, whether planning for the future or managing care for a loved one today. Solutions exist to provide the financial peace of mind you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book, A CPA's Guide to Tax-Free Strategies for Long-Term Care. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Request your free copy of Chris's book by visiting serenityltc.com. That's serenityltc.com.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up. Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, the Freedom Caucus just gets smacked by the establishment yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go into some basic details here around 8:20.
And by Freedom Caucus, we mean the Missouri version.
The Missouri Freedom Caucus, yeah. By the way, this has got the attention of the National Freedom Caucus, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
They were pointing it out, too. And they actually just took Caleb Rowden's statement himself, and they are tweeting it out saying, hey, we don't have to add anything to it. Look at this guy.
Mm.
So we're going to get into that a little bit later on here. But what this means is that the establishment in Missouri, which, from what I can tell, is the majority of the state legislature Republicans, the establishment has made it very clear, you better stay in the corner with that freedom stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Freedom
don't, they don't
Caucus,
like all that.
Behave. Bad dog.
Oh, yeah. That's probably more accurate to,
Yeah.
to how they're approaching this.
And that's where we're at. I still do want to get to this thing Mark Harder pushing for the crackdown on
Temtag, yeah.
Because I've teased it a couple times. We just had so many people who want to talk about other stuff that's happening that I just haven't got to. But I am going to get to it.
We'll get there, guys.
We'll get to that probably next hour. Okay, it is 8:06 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. I'd call A.J. Moll one of the top watchdogs for bigotry and anti-Semitism in the St. Louis area right now. A.J., I don't know if you meant for that to be where you ended up. I just think that's where you've ended up because of keeping a close eye on this. So I really appreciate you being on the program here right now. You were watching the county council meeting like a lot of people were last night. They're streaming it on video. Multiple reports say about 50 people. So we don't have just 2 or 3, Hamas club people at whatever university showing up there. This was a large coordinated protest, which they can say what they want to say. But AJ, when you are there watching and you're hearing people say from the river to the sea, and they're yelling this and they're chanting this, what's your gut reaction? How does that actually feel to you when you see that?
Well, when they say from the river to the sea, what they're talking about is the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. And guess what country? The whole thing is Israel. So they're calling on for the complete destruction and genocide of the Jewish people. They don't want Jews to live there. By contrast, Israel is one of the only states in the Middle East where Arab Israelis have full rights. There's even an Arab Israeli on the Supreme Court of Israel.
Good morning, AJ. Gabe here. So what do you make of this rise in anti-Semitism across the region, across the country? It seems to me to be reminiscent of a lot of historical periods where this sort of thing portends really, really bad social and political upheaval in the future. Is that one of your fears as well?
Not so much. At first, when Hamas attacked Israel, there was a little bit of uneasiness with this rise in anti-Semitism across the country. It's kind of starting to get to be status quo, and these people don't really have legs to get anything done, at least in the U.S. I mean, now they're supposed to be with the Democratic Party. They're denouncing Biden, and I saw one of the chief resident anti-Semites on Twitter the other day. She said, "Well, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump now." I'm like, what is going on with these people? It's crazy to me. So the Democrats are supporting Israel, except for the Squad. And we know the Republicans are going to always support Israel. It's our only Democratic ally in the Middle East. So I'm not too terribly worried. What I'm really worried about is if other countries start getting involved over in the Middle East, because so far they've kind of kept this just to Gaza. I mean, there's been isolated attacks here and there, but you also have to look at, I think in 1967, all the Middle Eastern countries attacked Israel, and by a miracle, guess what? Israel's still here.
Hey AJ, let me talk a little bit about this sort of mindset. I mean, it's easy for us to dismiss this as just this fringe bigotry that is attached in this case right now to the far left. Although, let's be honest, we've had some issues with it on the right from time to time as well. But right now it's coming from the left. It's coming from the far left. I'm really hesitant to try to buy into that this is a fringe group. They don't really, represent the far left. I don't think it represents the mainstream left necessarily, but I think it represents more of the left than they are willing to admit, because if it didn't, then Cori Bush doesn't beat Lacey Clay. Cori Bush doesn't get reelected. Cori Bush doesn't feel the empowerment to treat her Jewish constituents the way that she actually does. And so when you have this many people, there could be just a bunch of stupid college kids who are showing up. But I think we should be taking note of the numbers that we're seeing on this and asking ourselves, what's next right here in the St. Louis area?
Right. And what enabled Cori Bush to win is the majority of Jewish people here in St. Louis are on the left. Not crazy progressives, but it's been traditional that Jewish people vote Democrat. And they have awakened, and they are still going to vote Democrat, but they're going to pick Wesley Bell. And as a guy who lives in Ann Wagner's district who leans very far to the right, guess what? I'm going to go knock doors down in North County. I'm happy to do it for Wesley Bell.
AJ, you mentioned even before that at least one person said that they're switching their vote to Trump and going that far with it because of the rise in anti-Semitism on the left. Do you see that as a wider move that may be happening among Jewish constituency? I know that
No. What I said is I'm watching the anti-Semites, these pro-Hamas sympathizers, and the chief one around St. Louis denounces Biden, says we can't vote for this guy, and says we're going to vote for Trump.
Oh, I see. That's weird. Okay.
It's crazy. Is that crazy?
That's
Don't you
wild.
don't you remember what Trump did? I mean,
It's like, okay.
he's going to secure our borders.
It's like, all right, well, I'll take it, I guess. But
Yeah,
I guess,
why not?
but to I guess to putting that aside, the issue I did want to ask about is there going to be I guess I'll say slow movement of Jewish constituencies away from Democrats because of this rising anti-Semitism?
I don't believe so, and it's not because of this issue. I think the major issue that these Jewish people have with getting on board is social issues.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right.
they might be in favor of the GOP when it comes to their stance on Israel. Might even be with their stance on fiscal conservatism. But when you get into abortion issues and you get into LGBTQIA, that kind of stuff, it's really hard to make that transition because Jewish people are very, very big into the social issues, social justice.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's probably why they voted for Cory Bush. And now they're finding out maybe that was the wrong option.
Yeah, because, I mean, Wesley Bell's votes on those issues aren't really going to be different than Cory Bush's, but at least he's not anti-Semitic. I mean, that's really we're talking about.
Exactly.
We're visiting with AJ Moll right now, and AJ and I want to get away as much as we can from the whole partisan aspect of this. I mean, when I'm playing these sound bites from this meeting, this should be revolting on a guttural level to absolutely everybody, but I'm realistic enough to know that there are people who are listening who think of it as, well, those silly college kids are doing a protest again and not realizing this is the type of thinking that leads to violence, that leads to, occupations, that leads to far more trouble and headaches that eventually put people in conflict to, frankly, just defend their rights.
Well, and let me bring something up really quick because I think a lot of people forgot this, and I was so wrapped up in October 7th that, I watched the county council, what they're doing. I missed this. And on October 10th, so 3 days later, the county council passed a resolution. It's number 7157. You can look it up, where they unequivocally support Israel and condemn Hamas.
Mm-hmm. Right.
This is the same council now that all these people are trying to show up to and disrupt. They're not making any point. And the county council has signaled to their constituents, behind the scenes, we don't care what these people, they can come as much as they want. Everybody's got their right to free speech. We're not going to take up this issue. This is an international issue. The St. Louis County Council doesn't have any purview over what happens in Israel and Gaza. So why are you disrupting our business? We have to take care of things like we got to grill Sam Page on his logo debacle, actual local issues. So I think these people are wasting their time, and they don't realize that the county council has already come out. They said, we support Israel. We condemn Hamas. So what are you going to accomplish here? You're disrupting and making a show.
Yeah.
Spectacle. And that's all they're doing.
And they did delay the International Holocaust Remembrance Day resolution by a few days. They're not going to take it up on Friday. All right, AJ, we've already tagged you on our social media, man. Really appreciate you being on and just kind of rising up to the top of being one of the watchdogs of all of this. Because if I can't find it, I check your social media accounts and you're all over it, man. So appreciate what you're doing, although I'm sure it's putting you in a position that, you're catching a lot of flack from a lot of the bigots out there.
Oh, you wouldn't believe my instant messages, and somebody took my photo from Instagram and they superimposed some interesting things. Mm-hmm. Well, like whatever. The last time somebody did this, they said, you suck or whatever. I donated to Israel in their honor.
There you go. All right, AJ Moll. Check him out on Twitter, X, Facebook, all the others. We've tagged you out there. Hey, AJ, good talking to you again. Thanks so much.
Thanks, AJ.
Okay, thanks for having me on. Take care.
All right, Freedom Caucus getting hit by the establishment yesterday. Also, New Hampshire, the primary came and went there. Get you the results, including the delegate count. I think so many people are caught up with what percentage did Donald Trump win by. That let's add up the delegates and say, here's where we actually are with this whole thing. And a little bit later on today, temp tags. One St. Louis County politician says, we got to crack down on this here, too. St. Charles is doing it. We'll do it here as well. We'll get that conversation going. Still ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin car. Get up.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
How'd you like to eliminate your expensive cable bill forever or get new satellite internet where cable can't go? Well, now you can have affordable satellite internet service for a few dollars a day. All you need is a mini satellite installed, and you can have unlimited internet connections wirelessly in your home or office. And no cable boxes means unlimited connections and no clutter. You can surf the internet or stream any of your favorite television services with no cable. And the best part is, satellite internet service costs only a few dollars a day for your entire home. Yes, fast internet to surf or stream television for a few bucks a day. Call now for free details and learn how to drop your expensive cable bill.
800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. 800-696-2871. That's 800-696-2871.
Colombo and Katie.
Dr. Bob Onder.
I think there are different lessons to be taken away from each race. I would say about political campaigns, it's important to remember, although it would seem sometimes the times are with you, the issues are with you, the state of affairs are with you. And sometimes winning elections is about simple blocking and tackling, fundraising, getting out the vote.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick. Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Come on, everybody. We're gonna have a good time.
Okay, whole bunch of stuff we're going to dump on you with the news headlines. Let's just get caught up on a lot of stuff here. Donald Trump gets a second win in the presidential race, but the nomination campaign apparently is going to continue. I actually don't have a problem with that. I really don't. 2 states out of 50 have voted.
Right.
Well, we'll talk about that here in just a little bit as well. Missouri's GOP leadership, a.k.a. the establishment in the state Senate, declares war on the Freedom Caucus. Yeah,
Sure
we
do.
got a lot to say about that. So I've got an update on it for you here in a minute. We're going to go into more depth in about 10 minutes. And 314-912-1019. Love to get your thoughts on this. We've actually had comments on both sides of that conflict there. And a bunch of anti-Semitic bigots took over the St. Louis County Council meeting last night for just a short time. The cops actually had to remove them.
Yeah.
And by the way, that conversation that we just had with AJ Moll, that's going to be up on our podcast platform a little bit later on this morning as well. It is 8:22. Gabe's here, Stell's here. I want to make sure I was completely accurate right there at 8:22 as well.
Jeffrey, it's Ferguson Central Time.
That's right.
Ferguson Standard Time.
That's right. Ferguson Standard Time.
There you go.
Okay, so the establishment basically declares political war on the Freedom Caucus in Missouri. Senate Leader Caleb Rowden seems to be going for the proverbial shock and awe tactic.
As the leader of the Missouri Senate and with the full support of the true Republican majority, we will no longer allow this to stand.
Okay, so
The true
Republican
majority. Yeah.
That's how this is going to get. That's how this is going to get framed, guys. You've got Freedom Caucus, easy to remember, good branding, positive words, freedom, and so now what you've got is the establishment that wants to kind of, I guess, we're going to have our own brand. We're the true Republicans,
Right, and they're the Chaos Caucus.
Caleb did try to call them the Chaos Caucus. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll play that at 8:35.
All right.
I'm going to do that as well. So here's what happened: is Caleb Rowden unilaterally, which he has the authority to do under the Senate rules, he kicked Rick Bratton, Denny Hoskins, Andrew Koenig, and Bill Eigel from their chairman and their vice chairman positions on key committees. Basically, he removed them from almost any ability to shape actual legislation, is what he did. He also even moved their parking places to the outer rings of the Capitol where the lawmakers park. That's just petty.
So petty.
Silly. All right, so more on this at 8:35, 314-912-1019. Okay, so I did not play these clips while we were talking to AJ Moll just a few minutes ago, but here's a sample of 3 different things that happened at that county council meeting last night. Over the course of about 15 minutes, some pro-Hamas protesters took over the county council meeting in St. Louis County, and here's part of what happened.
Sam Page funds genocide in this council co-signs.
Madam Chair, that's 3 minutes.
Excuse me, everybody.
So if we want to make sure everybody can speak.
So she's trying to be professional and polite instead of saying, hey, stupid, shut the F up.
Which she should have said.
Palestine will be free. Be free. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
And of course, that anti-Semitic protest, because from the river to the sea, remember that literally is a call for genocide of Jewish people.
Right.
It is for the destruction of the state of Israel.
Because in between the river and the sea is Israel.
And even those on the left, unless you are a really stupid college student who's protesting and getting caught up in it, you know this.
Yes.
You know this. Now, it is possible that these people who are propagating just such this evil, vile mindset, maybe they really are that stupid.
Yeah.
But that's not an excuse. But they're definitely evil. By the way, that anti-Semitic protest happened on the same meeting where on the agenda was a resolution, pretty routine, to recognize International Holocaust Remembrance Day, and they decided to do From the River to the Sea when they were going to look at an International Holocaust Remembrance Day.
So disgusting. I actually caught some of the commentary prior, and I think she was going on some weird anti-Holocaust diatribe just prior to starting the chant.
Amazing.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, amazing. And if it's difficult for you to even understand or relate to their headspace, congratulations, that means you're a decent human being.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if you can't wrap your head around what they're doing, it's because you're, moral.
Better than them.
You're better than them.
Yeah. All right, Donald Trump won the New Hampshire GOP primary. Nikki Haley vowing to fight on, though.
Even though Haley didn't deliver an upset victory in New Hampshire, she's not ending her run for the White House. She told supporters last night that this race is far from over and that she's the last one standing next to Donald Trump. The former president is unhappy about Haley's refusal to quit. He wrote on social media that she is delusional.
And that's Greg Clugston from townhall.com. All right, it was 54% of the vote for Trump, 43% for Nikki Haley. So delegate-wise, which, by the way, that's what matters, are the delegates in these things. So Trump picks up a total of 11. Nikki Haley picks up 8. It takes 270 to secure that Republican nomination. As of right now, the scoreboard is Trump 31 and Haley 15.
Is it I thought 270 was the general. I think it's like 1200.
Oh, 1200 something.
Yeah, something
that's
on
right.
yeah.
270
for the
is
primary.
the general. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1200 and whatever. So
yeah,
we're talking literally 46.
Yeah.
Of the 1200 and whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Out there as well. Okay. Some other local news things. This is an update, and this is so disturbing here. So disturbing. Former Town and Country Police Sergeant who's accused of sexually abusing 2 children turns himself in. We told you about this last week.
Yeah.
That this guy was basically on the run. He retired from the Town and Country Police Department, and then these investigations and allegations came, and they couldn't find him.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. Cops are a tight-knit group. They generally know how to get a hold of each other, and this guy was nowhere to be found, but he showed up last night at the Jefferson County Jail to turn himself in. 57-year-old Jordan Fowle, Fowle, surrendered at the Jefferson County Jail on Tuesday. Prosecutors accuse him of abusing 2 children from 2012 all the way up through 2013.
2023.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2023.
Yeah. Last year.
11 years. 11-year abuse is what he's accused of. I always choose my words carefully.
Yes.
Fowle retired, like I said, from Town and Country Police Department last year. The city says none of the alleged abuse happened while he was on duty.
Yeah.
So there's a court hearing on the 29th regarding his bond and his in custody status and all of that sort of thing as well. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit later because, man, I just mentioned it and people are commenting already on this. St. Charles County and some individual municipalities are cracking down on the expired temp tags. We've talked about that before.
Yeah.
We talked about what's the special day of the week still?
Oh, it's Temp Tag Tuesday.
Temp Tag Tuesday, there it is.
In Ferguson, I believe.
Yep, that's where they were doing it.
And St. Charles County puts out a kind of a bounty, a snitch line. If you see something, say something on those temp tags.
Yep.
So now there's a push to have more of those traffic stops in St. Louis County. Councilman Mark Harder, good friend of this radio station. I tease him a little bit about this. He says he's introducing a resolution this week. It'll be at Friday's meeting that calls for county police to step up enforcement of expired tags. And that, of course, means more traffic stops.
Yeah, see, I don't like this particular push for it. I mean, look, I think among us in the room, I was probably the most bothered by temp tags.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Just pay your dang taxes. But because I had mostly because I had to, not because I agree with taxes. I don't think they should exist in the first place. But but I paid it, so you should pay it too. I follow. I'm a rule follower. But the thing is, because of the change to the law, which is going to require that you pay your sales taxes up front when you purchase a vehicle.
Correct.
That's coming into effect like next year.
I think that goes fully into effect next year.
Yeah. So the thing is, eventually, the people with the temp tags, even if they hold out all the way till they need another car in 3 years or whatever, they're going to have to pay this back. So why engage the cops in it now? This is just a waiting game that you're eventually going to win. Time is on your side.
Okay, let's open the Pandora's box around 8:50.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah, all right.
Because there's a few comments I haven't had a chance to read yet.
Okay.
On this, definitely. All right, the Blues started their road trip off the right way, a 4-3 win over Calgary. And Stella, as you were pointing out, that was a come-from-behind win, which we haven't seen a lot of from the Blues this year.
2 goals in the third period, and so they wind up with that win. And then they go on to Vancouver tonight.
So back-to-back. Game last night, game tonight. That game starts at 9 o'clock because they're way out west in Canada. So it's the late game for the NHL. That one is on ESPN+. Voting the class of 2024 for the Baseball Hall of Fame. Matt Holliday not in the class of 2024. He did not make it. Joe Mauer did make it. He was the third catcher to make it on the first ballot. So congratulations to him. Of course, Leland, former manager, was in there as well. Craig Biggio, I think, was the other one. And then there was one other, and I forgot who that was. Adrian Beltre.
Adrian, that's right.
Yep, Adrian Beltre, one of the great characters of the game, but also a great third baseman as well.
Janice says Vancouver's going to be hard.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, the Canucks are 32-11-4.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right. 314-912-1019. It is the political throwdown. It is the establishment versus the Freedom Caucus. But let me tell you something. This isn't just a punditry thing. This is going to have a big effect on whether or not we actually advance things that will limit government and protect our rights and freedom, because the establishment doesn't want any part of that, apparently. So we'll talk about that just ahead here.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Well, the rain moves out early today, but it's a trade-off. As the steady rain leaves, the fog gets thicker. Dense fog advisory in effect. Give yourself some extra braking room today, especially with some wet pavement out there. Meanwhile, temperatures mild. I'm forecasting a high of 53 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, still areas of fog, but otherwise dry, the low 41. Our next round of rain moves in Thursday. Be ready for showers in the morning and the afternoon. Tomorrow's high at 49. Friday is dry. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
The Supreme Court ruled that Biden's border agents are allowed to remove the razor wire Texas is using to protect and defend its border. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Administration swears up and down it wants to secure the border. We all know that's a lie. Example 502. Biden's DHS has been doing everything it can to slap down Governor Abbott and the state of Texas's efforts to secure it. Sadly, Biden is getting his way because this week the Supreme Court ruled that Border Patrol agents are allowed to cut and remove the razor wire installed by the state of Texas at the U.S.-Mexico border. The court ruled 5-4 that Texas was interfering with border agents and their ability to perform their duties. What? Talk about gaslighting. Biden is the one preventing his own border agents from their primary duty of protecting and securing our border. He has turned them into babysitters instead. And Texas has every right to defend itself, and the border the Biden administration has abandoned. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Ackerman Toyota had a great 2023, so Jay asked me to thank you for all of your support. Loyal customers making Ackerman Toyota number one in St. Louis Toyota sales. Number one out of the 75 Toyota dealers in the region in Camry and Corolla sales. Ackerman has the lowest prices, great selection. Visit Ackerman at Hampton and 44 or online, ackermantoyota.com. Ackerman Toyota, for life.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, guys. 1019 all the way.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Open the door, baby, turn on the light. We're gonna have a party tonight for a rocker. For a rocker. I know it's late and you're already down.
I'd just rather listen to this.
Little Jackson Brown.
Yeah.
From 83. Boy, the years are flying by.
83. Wow. My little sister was 3 years old.
By the way, Gabe, I know you don't have to worry about this, but you're in a room here with 2 other guys who got haircuts yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. It's true. Nice. You guys are looking spiffy.
Dapper.
Dare I say, dapper.
See, I go since I grew my hair out longer, and I sometimes forget, and I go in and it's been like 3 months or 4 months. And so, so I'm looking a little different. So if you want
your rocker hair.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I'm not on TV anymore. I don't have to worry about it. That's true. When I did the TV thing, I had to be all proper.
Coiffed.
Yeah.
You were coiffed.
That's not me now.
But when you let it grow out for 3 months, you look good. When I do it, I look like I combed my hair with a balloon.
That's a great visual.
See, my wife's going to get back on Friday, and she's going to be like, "Where's the rest of your beard, and where's the rest of your hair?"
Yeah, you're going to figure out. She's going to go, "What did you do?"
That's right.
That's never a good reaction.
Golly.
What did you do?
All right, it's 8:37 right now.
Yeah.
By the way, at 8:50, all right, let's have the Great Temp Tag debate version 3.
Yes, 3.0.
Now, because Mark Harder says St. Louis County Police start cracking down on this. Rachel and I were at Bread Coat. We're Panera now. We were at Bread Coat.
It's Bread Coat.
It's Bread Coat, damn it.
It's St. Louis. This is
right.
Bread Coat.
And I saw one from, I think it was November or December of 2022. And
Whoa.
I'm like, that's St. Louis
That's
right there.
commitment right there.
Cardinals, Bob Costas, Gooey Buttercake, and that. So Mark says, no, we need to eliminate that part of our way of life. All right, we'll talk about that
Let
later.
your temp tag expire and grab a toasted wrap.
I'm all for the toasted wrap, man. Okay, so here's where we're at with things coming to a head really, really quickly in the Missouri legislature, particularly in the Senate. And I'm kind of reminded we had Tony Lavasco on Monday.
Yeah.
Of course, he's a state representative. And you asked him, I think, Gabe, you said, what are you expecting this week in the legislature? And he goes, a lot of yelling in the Senate.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had any idea what was coming.
I don't think he was totally serious. I mean, he was a little serious.
Well, he was serious and like nobody's going to get along and nothing's going to get done.
Right, in that sort of way. But I don't think he realized how prophetic his words were going to turn out to be.
So here's where we're at right now is an announcement came from Caleb Rowden, the Senate leader, and he took 4 of the Freedom Caucus members in the Senate and basically wiped them off of any sort of leadership or influence map with one fell swoop.
Yeah.
Here is part of his reasoning at his press conference where he had a number of Republicans behind him, some of them pretty conservative, right behind him.
The Chaos Caucus has chosen to use the Missouri Senate as a place to try and salvage their languishing statewide campaigns and intentionally destroy the institution in an effort to claim that the game is rigged against them.
Okay, now, first of all, this was done under the guise of official business, and Caleb Rowden is running for Secretary of State. So he was one of those statewide campaigns he's talking about is one of his opponents in the primary.
Yeah. It's so gross. The whole thing is really dumb. It reminds me of some sort of power hungry mid-level commander going around stripping people of their ranks and things like that and yelling at them in their faces because they dare ask him to do his freaking job.
So let's talk about what this actually means. We've been frustrated. I say we, I'm talking about conservatives. I'm talking about small L libertarians. I'm talking about all of us who are on that free market, limited government, constitutional government side of things. Did I know that there was going to be static when the Freedom Caucus formed?
Well, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Clearly. As a pundit, I'm thinking, hey, that's going to give us some spicy stuff to talk about. But this isn't about that. I always want, listen, I'm good enough at this. I've done this long enough. I can take a topic that seems mundane and explain why it matters to your life.
Right.
Okay? Because I don't pay attention to the stuff that doesn't really matter, that's just really wonky. So I'm not worried about making things interesting. I'm more worried about finding the things that matter.
Yes.
And so I'm confident after a couple of decades of doing this that I can do that. What I did not expect here was a Freedom Caucus that says, we're serious. You will not drag your feet. We will not go along to get along, because what has happened is you've got a whole bunch of, and it's in the leadership in the legislature, them saying, yep, no, I support initiative petition reform. I'm absolutely pro-life. No, I don't want those kids abused by those gender ideology clinics. And they say all these right things. And gosh darn it, we just ran out of time in May. And you can only do that so long before people go, wait a minute, there's a pattern here.
Yes.
And the complaints start up late April saying, wait a minute, these bills that you said you're supportive of, Why are they languishing back here? Well, we just got to get a few other things done. Hey, it's late April. Why aren't these things moving forward? Well, we may not have time. We may have to get to it next year. Hey, we're a few days away. We haven't even gotten this to a vote yet. Well, just the way it goes, there's only so much we can do. Hey, we really tried. Vote for me. Give me your campaign donation. By the way, I'm running for statewide office, and I really supported all this. Give me credit for it, when what really happened is you bottlenecked it and didn't get core, conservative, constitutional, and moral things done. So the Freedom Caucus comes in, and you've got the rowdy kids who come in and kick the door down and say, we're calling you out.
Right.
Well, how dare you? And so now they've been removed from their committees. And we talked to Bob Onder a little bit earlier, former state senator, currently running for lieutenant governor, although he said, his words, the next time we chat, there may be an announcement about the 3rd congressional district. So we'll see what happens there. And so he comes in and says, you remove those chairmanships, that means that your ability to shape this legislation goes away. Caleb Rowden, in one fell swoop, said, you're part of the Freedom Caucus. You don't get to have a say anymore. So he's basically thrown down the gauntlet and telling Republicans, you choose the Freedom Caucus or you choose the establishment. And that's where we're at.
Now, to the uninitiated here, the Freedom Caucus didn't come out guns a-blazing this session out of nowhere. This has been brewing for a long time. The old saying is, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, the thing is, we're 3 legislative sessions in to not doing the big red things that we sent all the red politicians to Jeff City to get done.
With the same excuses.
So here's the thing. Right now, this year, we are fighting a battle for the lives of the unborn in trying to keep this referendum off of the ballot or we might actually have to defeat it in the actual election itself.
Which will be difficult.
The possibility of abortion. Currently, we are a pro-life state. We are one of the first pro-life states, if not the first pro-life state post Roe.
Thank you, Nick Schroer.
Thank you, Nick Schroer. And it's entirely possible that these outside forces are going to bully their way in and change our Constitution to turn us into a place where abortion is legal up to freaking birth and enshrined in our Constitution. Now, we would not be in danger of any of this if the Caleb Rowdens of Missouri had stepped up and done what we sent them to Jeff City to do 2-3 sessions ago.
Mm-hmm. And he's the one who also was involved in watering down the bill to protect children from the gender ideology butchers at Wash U.
Right.
So he's had his hand in these things, but he says, I'm going to get big conservative things done this time around. And by the way, he's running for statewide office.
Yeah, this time around. He's the real Republican in the room, right?
Yeah. And listen, there were people standing behind Caleb Rowden who are conservatives. Okay. So I'm not saying the Freedom Caucus are the only conservatives. And I'm even open to a debate as to whether they came out guns a-blazing too much day one.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm open to the debate. I don't know that they did. I think that they put everybody on notice. We're not accepting the same excuses this year. We're not accepting the same tactics. We're going to call you out. So that's going to be the retort in the debate. But at the same time, they don't have the numbers to run things.
Yeah.
And so the reaction from Caleb Rowden is something I've never seen before in my 28 years of doing any sort of media or policy or political or campaign stuff. Now, Bill Eigel responded to this. And by the way, they even kicked Bill Eigel out of his parking spot.
Yeah.
He's now put out like on the outer rim of the Capitol. So that's how petty it got on there. And here's what Bill had to say after that announcement.
We are not afraid of the status quo and the swamp that is trying to prevent good legislation from moving forward.
Yeah, so basically, Caleb Rowden is trying to put them at the kids' table and say, fine, you want to throw a fit, you do it over there. And so the tactic that the Freedom Caucus still has at their disposal is a filibuster in the Senate.
Yeah.
And they can grind things to a complete and utter halt, which I think is what the establishment really wants them to do so that they can blame the Freedom Caucus. And then they can try to get the message out. Listen, get on board with the establishment. This is where things happen. It's the same thing as saying on a national level, listen, would you stop with this Rand Paul stuff? We've got Mitt Romney right here.
Well, and even worse, it reminds me of the fight about border security, right? At the federal level, where they're saying, "Hey, if the Republicans would just get on board and sign our bill, we could get our border stuff done."
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they're being obstructionist. It's like, no, we actually want you to do what you say, you're going to do with these bills.
Well, now Caleb Brown has said both on social media and out loud. He has said now we can actually get these things done. We can get initial petition reform done. We can get okay, do it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. If you do it and you just want to do it and take credit for it, fine.
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Yeah, please.
But do it. You made the promise now. You put the promise out there, Caleb. Do it.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think the Freedom Caucus would be happy with that. Even with the reduced power, the reduced budget that they have for their people. There's like, oh wait, so you're still going to give us what we were been asking for this entire time for 3 sessions now? Okay,
good. And you want to take credit for it? Fine. Go ahead.
Yes.
I don't give a crap who gets credit for it.
I think the people in the Freedom Caucus have enough integrity to take the win, even if it costs them.
Yeah, and you know what? Even say it's a loss. Oh my goodness, you proved me wrong. Okay, prove us wrong.
Yes, absolutely.
Prove us wrong.
Do it.
314-912-1019. We got time to get your thoughts and reaction on this, but also I've been promising the great expired temp tag debate. Is it expanding to St. Louis County? Those scofflaws.
Scofflaws.
Get them.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL.
Whatever life may hold in store, things will happen that you won't be ready for. I got a shirt so unbelievably bright.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Hey, it's Columbo and Katie inviting you to join us, plus Mark Close and a whole bunch of our musical friends, Saturday, January 27th at Westport Playhouse.
Our band, Mark's band, and Lenny Mink will be joined by some very special guests for an awesome night of music for a great cause. All proceeds go to Thrive St. Louis. Get your tickets now at westportplay.com and join us for a great party January 27th at Westport Playhouse. Brought to you by Weber Chevrolet.
Tickets on sale now at westportplay.com.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. 800-797-0711. That's 800-797-0711.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Former Speaker of the House Tim Jones, who's also our afternoon guy, will analyze the New Hampshire primary. He'll be with us Tuesday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, let's do the temp tag debate here, but first. Okay, first.
Yes.
Lord. I just put a note on Rumble. I'm like, hey, y'all, don't go anywhere. You definitely want to hear what Gabe just put together. Okay, because we got a call a little bit ago about somebody saying, did you catch the cadence and the melody on that chant that the bigots were doing, the anti-Semitic bigots were doing
at the St. Louis
County Council meeting? They were literally trying to make From the River to the Sea musical.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And there was a specific song that was being used. I caught it.
You did.
I did. And I was like, okay, nobody in the room is going to know what I'm talking about, so I'm just going to leave it alone. But caller came in and he said, hey, did you catch that? And I was like, yes, yes, I did.
Okay.
So I think they might be going public with this remix of their chant.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay.
From the river to the sea. To the sea. Palestine will be free. Be free. Palestine will be free. Be free. From the river to the sea. To the sea. Palestine will be free. Be free. Palestine will be free. Be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Be free. Palestine will be free.
She couldn't even get the beat right.
No, she messed up the rhythm a little bit
she
there.
did.
Yeah.
Oh God! See that's that. I forgot who called in and pointed that out. And of course, my '80s brain, I didn't pick up on that. But I'm like, wait a minute, I have heard that song before.
Yeah, everybody's heard this song. It became a really big party song in the early aughts, I think, when it came out. So yeah, everybody's heard this song. Most people have not heard the dirty version of this song, but it is horrific. But not quite as horrific as calling for the genocide of the Jewish people.
Yeah.
So there is that.
we're gonna denounce the evil. We're going to point out that these are absolutely horrible, hideous human beings. And if you say, "Well, that's just my son was there. He's just a little misguided. He got caught up," then your son's an idiot. And right now he's an evil human being, and I don't really give a crap what his friends are. He's making that choice.
Yes. Now, as Christians, though, we believe in redemption, so they can come back. But right now,
and
that's the wrong side.
And that's the thing, I get in trouble with my wife. So I feel like I'm supposed to go, this is somebody who's full of evil. They are rotted out soul. These are evil people who should bear the consequences. And Jesus loves them very much. Fine. Okay. Let me throw that in there. Fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Mark Harder from friend of the station here, and he announced that he's going to be filing a resolution, or presenting a resolution, I should say, that he's hoping that they're going to look at on Friday, that would essentially expand the crackdown of temporary tags right out in the St. Louis area. Now, again, this is part of our way of life here, okay?
Your argument is that this is St. Louis culture.
There are some things that are St. Louis. The Cardinals.
Right.
Okay? The Blues.
Right.
Okay? Toasted ravioli.
Yes.
Toasted ravs. Gooey butter cake.
Yes.
Ted Drews.
Asking where you went to high school.
That's right. Rolling through stop signs. All of these things.
This is very St. Louis.
Driving by no matter where you are and saying, oh, look, there's the arch. All of those things.
Don't be scared.
Part of that culture is expired temp tags. I just feel like this is an attack on our way of life. Not everybody agrees with me.
What do the people have to say, Mike?
Okay, so Blues Nut on Rumble says, I say if they are 6 months or more expired, tow the car and fine them. If I have to pay the taxes, you should too. Lunch Lady actually agrees with them. Yeah. They disagree with me. I find it so funny when I see them that, especially if they are expired by years, I know they're going to end up paying at some point.
Yeah, obviously. Now for me, I'm like, okay, during the whole period where you'd see them everywhere, it's like, okay, where are the cops? You see these guys, just pull them over real quick. Just let them know. But the thing is, because we have this new law coming up where everybody's going to have to be paying their sales tax right away when they purchase the car. When you buy it, and you don't get temp tags anymore.
Yeah.
In order for them to go to their next car, they're going to have to not only pay the taxes on their new car, but make good on their old car, because otherwise they do not get registration for their new car. So the county, the state, whoever gets the money, they're gonna get their money.
Right. We are going to graduate up to stealing license plates off other cars.
Oh no! So you think that's going to be the cultural change?
And here's the thing: is that they stopped pulling people over during the COVID shutdowns because they were afraid of police officers getting COVID.
Or get sneezed
because
on
apparently,
or something.
because apparently, if you had an expired tag, it was a COVID-related car. I don't know.
COVID-related car stuff.
And some of my buddies who are cops, they tell me, they're like, they say if it's a month or more, we'll probably pull you if it's over 2 months. A couple of them, they said, yeah, we're going to pull you over. They're like, if it's less than a month, we don't care.
Right.
I mean, and I bought my car and I thought my tags were going to expire at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized it was actually like the 18th or something like that.
Okay. So not quite the end, like kind of the middle.
The 22nd or so, I'm like, oh, crap, I got to go. And so mine are fine.
Yeah.
But it is about, and Mark says, if he's very honest about it, he goes, hey, these are people not paying their taxes.
It's true.
St. Louis County.
It's a revenue thing.
Yeah, it is. It is 100% a revenue thing.
Yeah.
And of course, they're also pointing out that the county has a big budget deficit because they can't stop spending so much money.
Yeah, and that's the thing that really gets me, because as much of a rule follower as I am, I don't care for these taxes to begin with. So, kind of a little bit of a screw yourself there, county, in the back of my head, even though I want people to follow the rules like I did.
I know. It's my amusement. I see it, and I just don't get worked up over it, even though I pay the taxes and I pay them on time, and I don't like him any more than you do.
Hey, Tim Jones here with Tony Colombo for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner at the Wallner Home Selling Team. If you're thinking about taking advantage of the market and selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now.